Retro Raw 270, August 3rd, 1998.
See, now we're all in the mood to talk about these two shows.
I don't know about that.
Wait till I get started on Nitro.
You started with Nitro?
Wait till I get started on Nitro.
Oh, I see.
Owen Hart
it was
and The
better
Rock
last week.
versus Steve Austin and The Undertaker.
Wait a second. Wasn't last week the show that you didn't think was that bad?
Yes.
And you're telling me that now you think this week's show was bad?
There's a reason for it. Do you want to get into it now?
No. I'm just I can't even wait. But I will.
It's probably something you didn't see that makes you feeling better. I'll just get to it now.
Okay.
I had a myriad of computer problems today. My day began taking 40 minutes trying to get Word started. Microsoft Word.
Now, why did that happen?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know.
Lane?
But I tried. So that's how it began. There's behind schedule. So I had more work than I expected. I had to get all that done. And then I got to watch these shows. And then I got to start watching Nitro. Nitro on the network, you cut out the commercials, of course, it's a 2-hour and 8-minute broadcast. And I know this because I was checking that goddamn timer constantly. Do you know why? The buffering on this show, the times I had to stop and restart over and over, between just trying to fast forward and pause it and let it buffer and stopping and restarting it over and over again, I swear it took me like 3.5 hours to watch this 2-hour program.
Now, the funny thing about Nitro is they had to cut out all the segments with Jay Leno from The Tonight Show because they don't have permission to use that. None of that stuff was actually shown on WCW television.
Christ.
So it would have been longer.
It would have been 10 minutes longer.
At least.
You know what's funny?
It would have taken me 20 minutes.
I had no buffering whatsoever with this show.
It only ever happens to me with Nitro.
Really?
Yes.
Now, I have a bigger problem, which is when the show's over and it has the screen that says play or add to playlist.
Right.
Sure.
I can't get it off that damn screen. It won't go backwards. When I hit menu, it starts playing the show. I hit menu again, it goes back to that thing. I hit menu again. There's no back button on this Apple TV new back. Do you have the same problem?
Yes, I do.
I hate that. I have to restart Apple TV to go backwards on the WWE menu.
That's terrible.
That's worse than traffic. All right, where were we? Raw?
Owen Hart and Rock versus Steve Austin and The Undertaker was scheduled to open the show. So Rock does a promo running the tag champs down, but out comes Sergeant Slaughter instead. Rock demands they be named the new champs via forfeit. So then Austin and Taker come out. Austin hits the ring. However, his partner, The Undertaker, is distracted by Kane at the top of the ramp. So Taker goes to confront Kane, leaving his partner Austin to be double teamed to death.
Can you read this in your normal voice when too much stuff is happening at once? Because there's a lot of that.
I'm
here on
already
the show.
realizing how much went on. All right, you want me to go to the hyper fast, too much stuff going on voice? Taker gets to the top of the ramp. Mankind appears to brawl with Taker one-on-one. Austin's fighting 2-on-1 in the ring. He stuns Owen, grabs a chair, fights out the rest of the nation, and they go to break.
Now, are we sure that wasn't the exact same thing that happened at the end of the show as well? Because I'm pretty sure it was.
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
This show reeked of attention deficit disorder.
Absolutely.
Especially the end of this show. I mean, you know what it was like, which is just so weird, is this was like watching Impact when Russo was writing Impact. It's exactly what this was. But for some reason, people loved this show, and they watched it in droves, unlike Impact that nobody watched. The other thing that is amazing about this is when you watch these Raw shows here in, I guess it's August of 98, it is absolutely astounding how not legendary Mick Foley getting thrown off the cell was at the time.
No.
He is just a guy. He's there every night in a suit and tie for reasons that we still have not quite figured out. It's never mentioned on commentary. It's like it didn't happen. And the weirdest thing is, before Hell in a Cell, he was like a featured character on the show every week. He gets his ass thrown off the cell. He nearly dies for this business. And now he's a bit player in the background.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Still getting hit in the head with chairs every week.
Oh, we'll get to that.
3 times in the show.
Yep. We had a Brawl for All match. Now, not that this tournament was ever any good.
But first, Dan Severn pulled out of the tournament.
Well, yeah, as I was getting to.
I see.
This was, not that this tournament was ever any good, but this is the segment when it all went blindly off the rails. Yes, Severn, who won his first round fight against the Godfather, has pulled out of the tournament. He did a horrendous pre-tape promo.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was amazing.
It was enjoyable for other reasons.
He says, a man of my stature has nothing to prove. When I have a score to settle, I will do it when my hands are not bound.
You put too much emotion into
You had too much emotion?
I tried.
You had too much bass?
Tried.
Too much energy?
Tried. You know what is so strange is, you remember how we've never had brackets?
Yes.
Okay, so apparently there were internal brackets,
Okay.
and then at some point
Terrible disease.
they switched the brackets around.
Aha.
We never saw them.
No.
Why were there brackets?
I don't know.
Why were there brackets they saw that we didn't see? I think they started this stupid thing. They put everybody in it. Then they decided, hey, Dr. Death is available. Let's have this guy beat everybody, and he can challenge Austin. And then someone else was like, you realize Dan Severn's in this thing. And so they had Dan pull out.
They did not want Dan winning and main eventing a pay-per-view against Steve Austin.
I guess not.
Not that the winner ended up being in a pay-per-view against Steve Austin anyway. So Severn is out. Godfather just goes back in.
Yeah, not only does the Godfather go back in, but they say that Steve Blackman has a knee injury as a result of this.
Yep.
And it is possible that he will have to be replaced by Marc Mero.
Who he beat.
Yeah.
All the losers are just going to keep advancing this thing.
This is such a train wreck.
It's so awful. So Godfather comes out for this real fight with the hose and cuts a promo offering them to Scorpio he will forfeit.
I swear to God, after I heard about Blackman and after Dan Severn just pulled out, I was certain that Scorpio was going to take the women and leave.
Yeah.
And we would have another guy out of the tournament for non-tournament reasons.
Yeah, he wouldn't have pulled out.
So eventually they had the fight. Craig's very proud.
Go ahead.
They had the fight.
Where were you yesterday?
What do you mean? Go ahead.
They had the... Maybe we should explain that one because people are going to have questions about what Brian's talking about now. Suffice to say, everyone, Brian wanted Craig to talk yesterday and Craig did not speak.
No.
So, once the fight began, this is like the best actual fight they had in this thing yet. It came off as two guys who had a clue what they were doing. They both seemed to have some training and some skill. It's just one of them was a lot bigger, so he won.
Yeah, I remember when it was over, I thought, that was really good.
It was a good fight.
But then I realized, no, that was horrible. But by Brawl for All standards,
Yes.
that was really good.
I have seen boxing matches that were no better than this.
Well, sure, yeah. Godfather looked good, and he won the stand-up, probably in all 3 rounds. Maybe, who knows about the third one. But
Yeah.
I mean, he very clearly won the fight.
Did you guys ever go to the Tough Man competitions that they had down at the Tacoma Dome?
Thankfully, no.
Man, that was a good time.
Sure it was.
But it was better than this.
Oh, all right. I'll buy that. I don't know. I enjoyed this.
And they announced that the winner of this, Godfather, is going to be facing Bart Gunn in the semis. And listen, as much as this tournament sucks, and it's stupid, and it's a disaster, and it's horrible, I can't wait to see Godfather versus Bart Gunn. It sounds like a slobber knocker.
Oh, it will be, I'm sure. The New Age Outlaws did a quick promo running down Kane and Mankind. They vowed to get their tag titles back eventually. And then we got the New Age Outlaws versus Kane and Mankind. So they had a lot of time, and they weren't. This is not the U.S. Formula Tag match. They almost, as far as this being put together, this is almost a Japanese style match. We're just 4 men all fighting constantly, back and forth throughout. Great intensity. It was a great brawl. It was a very good TV match. The big spot was where the Outlaws tried to double suplex on Kane. He double suplexed them. And I know it's work, but those are not small men he threw around.
I thought this whole thing was like really good until the end, and then it was like absolutely horrible.
All right.
It fell off a cliff.
They did the spot where the good guy hits a move, the other guy hits a move. It's usually in the tag match or the triple threat matches. And then at the end, everybody hits a move and they all collapse.
Yes.
Except they did it with chairs.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Mankind he killed the Road Dogg with the chair shot. Then Billy just kills Mick Foley with a chair shot.
Waffle him.
This is the first, by the way, of the Mick Foley chair shots tonight. And then they all just kept wrestling.
That's
like,
a fact.
that wasn't even the end.
No.
They just thought, it'd be a great spot. I'll hit you as hard as I can in the head with a fucking chair.
Yeah.
And then you hit him in the head as hard as you fucking can with a chair. And then you clothesline the guy, and then we'll keep going. Oh, all right. You chair shots Road Dogg took. I'm looking back now at the Attitude Era. Like, he took so many chair shots to the head.
We haven't gotten yet to his hardcore title reign.
No.
There will be more. So eventually, they do hit the double suplex on Kane, but then Mankind puts Road Dogg in the mandible claw, and Kane recovers, hits Road Dogg with a tombstone for the win. LOD is backstage. Hawk identifies himself.
God, this was so stupid. I hate this show.
And it was the better show.
Identifies himself as Michael Hegstrand. Apologizes to the WWF, to Titan Sports, to his partner, and to the fans for his behavior last week. Then he says it's time to do the Hawk thing.
Yep. This was your classic Vince Russo terrible bullshit. This Road Warrior is just a fella named Mike.
Mm-hmm.
How could I possibly ever give a fuck again?
He says, most of what we see is fake. This is real. What I'm saying right now is real. But now it's time to go be fake.
This was so stupid.
Yeah. So we had Jeff Jarrett versus Hawk.
And by the way, so last week, Hawk was all fucked up. Cost him and his partner the match. He apologizes. He has a singles match. And he wins.
Mm-hmm. It was fine.
Why are you looking at me?
What the fuck is all of this about?
Well, he's sobered up this week.
Oh, so and he's going to go out drinking now.
Well, he's going to go on a
He's
bender.
Andrade C. and Almas.
He's going to go on a bender, and then he's going to follow
I see.
Titantron.
Yeah, this sucked.
I like that Jarrett was winning on him and then went to grab Tennessee Lee's belt.
Yeah, he was beating on him, and he was going to beat on him more.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
With a belt.
So Lee could not get his belt off, and Hawk hit a neck breaker and won.
That's a first.
Well,
Southern Justice.
Something got in the way, and it's a huge task to get around.
Yes, exactly. It's a major obstacle.
How do you tie your fucking belt? What are you talking about?
Well, if it's that big, it gets in the way. It's a burden, for God's sakes. For Tennessee Lee.
I could say so many things about Craig right now,
Okay.
but I'm not gonna.
Southern
Belt's
Justice.
up here.
I understand that.
Your dingling is down here.
It is.
They don't get in each other's way.
Well,
No, they don't.
Brian said dingling, by the way.
That thing could be 6 feet long. It's not going to get in the way of your belt.
I'm not Tennessee Lee, Brian.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know what side he dresses on. Maybe he dresses up.
Excuse me? He dresses up?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, it turned into a big brawl with a bunch of people.
Thanks, Vince. It was Mark Canterbury and Dennis Knight, Southern Justice. And no, I don't know why they're out here.
Oh, they're pals with Jarrett.
Yeah.
Once known as the Godwins, we're told. Why bother telling us?
I don't know.
Why did they change their names? Why are they not Godwins anymore? Why are they Mark Canterbury and Dennis Knight?
Well, they got to come up, and they're not pig
The
farmers
show
anymore.
sucks.
Vince McMahon comes out to cut a promo.
Oh, and speaking of, can we just be done with this stupid conspiracy theory?
No.
Now he's that guy where it does not matter how much evidence is presented to him. He is clinging to this stupid conspiracy theory that he will not give up on.
And more to the point, how does any of it affect him?
Exactly.
Why does he care?
Exactly.
So Vince insists that Kane and Undertaker are in cahoots, although at least he didn't use those words this week. He says tonight Austin and Taker will lose the tag titles. And it occurred to me here that they've killed the tag team division so badly that the tag teams fighting for the titles are the New Age Outlaws and a bunch of random singles dudes put together. So he calls out Taker. Taker comes out. Then Austin follows. Austin says Taker and he are the tag champs. And yes, he threw Taker a beer, but they are not friends. He is focused on beating Undertaker at SummerSlam. He goes to leave. Taker calls him back and says, Vince McMahon is trying to drive a wedge between us, and you are letting it happen. I was man enough to challenge you face to face. Now come face me face to face and take this tag belt. And so Austin did, and he left. For reasons that are beyond me, this made Vince McMahon very upset.
Fuck if I know.
Taker promises Austin will be safe until SummerSlam, and then he's going to take Austin's world title. Rock and Owen cut a promo running down Taker and Austin. Every week you see The Rock getting greater and greater.
Oh, yeah.
He's
on a roll.
exploding. He's awesome. Triple H versus Xpac.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where to begin?
So last week, first of all, they had a match against each other in King of the Ring. Then they have a triple threat match with The Rock where they end up fighting each other and as Rock just leaves. Mm-hmm. So here they are booked against each other with the winner getting a title shot against The Rock. So at least, okay, they've been stuck in a bad spot by the promotion, so they're going to fight like men with something on the line. They're not just fighting for no reason. So they're doing this match, and X-Pac gets ready for the Bronco Buster, but Chyna trips him, and then when he yells at her, she drops him with an elbow, and Hunter hits a pedigree for the win. Then Chyna looks sad, Hunter looks pissed, X-Pac is really pissed, and they shove each other a bit, but then they all still leave together.
And then it's to the back.
And then it's to the back.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I know what's going on here. Some guy had a stupid idea, and it made it all the way to television.
Repeatedly.
Like, what is going on here?
It's not like DX breaks up.
No, I do believe that they stay together.
They're together until Mania.
I bet you there's
spoiler.
no payoff to this.
Of course there's not. It's just they did a bunch of stupid stuff because they thought it would be cool and people would watch it.
They've been a group now for 3 months. It's time to tease a breakup. Val Venis and Taka Michinoku versus Dick Togo and Shofunaki.
Mrs. Yamaguchi-san is still coming out with her husband.
She has cheated on him on camera twice.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
He threatened to paddle her buttocks.
Yeah.
She slept with Val. She showered with Val. And here she is coming out with Mr. Yamaguchi-san again. And then he keeps getting mad every time she smiles at Val Venis. This is the stupidest storyline.
You're not even getting to the stupid part yet. So, this was a horseman beatdown. Val starts, goes alone for a while, goes to tag Taka. Taka turns on him. They're all beating up Val. And Taka points at Mrs. Yamaguchi-san and says, "She's my sister." My sister. So he is outraged at the man who made his sister happy. He's not pissed at the domineering, abusive, controlling, manipulative husband that she has.
Yeah, because it's all a stereotype.
I guess.
The storyline on Raw is that if you are Japanese, then if you are married to a Japanese woman, she is subservient to you. Mm-hmm. So as her brother, Taka is upset, not that she doesn't like Mr. Yamaguchi-san. He is upset that she is not subservient to him. It doesn't matter if she likes him. Her role is to be subservient to this man.
Maybe she's upset with Val for banging his sister.
Oh, there could be that too.
I would imagine.
I'm sure there are many layers to this stupid fucking story. But yes, Taka Michinoku, did anyone else forget this? He's Mrs. Yamaguchi-san's brother.
I was taken by surprise.
I knew at some point he joined up with the group.
The only thing I remembered was choppy choppy pee-pee. Mm-hmm. I did not remember all of the details leading up to it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 19 years later, I was shocked in my living room.
I was stupefied.
They dragged Val backstage as everyone stood back and watched. There's hundreds of people gathering to watch.
Yeah, and they had some sort of weird ass. I can't remember the explanation, but it was something like, well, you know, this is Japanese custom or something like that. And so everyone's just standing around and I'm like, what? This guy's got a sword.
Yeah.
He's got a
katana.
Whatever the fuck it's called. He's got one. Like, where are the police? Where's security?
No Japanese police in Anaheim.
It doesn't matter if we're not in Japan. Where's the American police with this Japanese guy running around with a katana?
Got to respect people's culture, Brian.
I don't know.
No, you don't. Not if he's trying to kill somebody.
Maim. Be fair.
You know how much blood loss if you got your...
With Val, it could be fatal. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Tennessee Lee.
Not like Tennessee Lee.
D'Lo Brown versus Dan Severn.
For the illustrious UK title.
The illustrious, prestigious UK title. Everyone who has this belt must bury it. So D'Lo jumps Severn at the bell, which means you got D'Lo working Severn over for several minutes. You know what's worse than Dan Severn's promos?
Selling.
Dan Severn selling. Dan needs to just get in there and have real fights. That's all he can do. Mark Henry and Steve Blackman are out there, and Severn makes a comeback, and there's takedowns, and there's suplexes, and then Shamrock's out there, and he's brawling with the Nation, and that's a DQ, and what a waste of time.
When does this show get better? Like, I think we were
2002,
warned.
I think
we were warned that, like, throughout the summer it sucked, but, like, it does get better at some point, right?
Yeah. And D'Lo's up on stage celebrating, and Edge punches him and leaves, and D'Lo gets up and polishes his belt and goes backstage.
This was another one of our
This was
ADD
horrible.
segments.
Going back over this. This segment was awful. Kaientai was still beating Val up backstage. Tiger Ali Singh was on the show.
Oh, I forgot about this man.
The poor man's Jinder Mahal.
19 years, and they still have not given up.
This is the poor man's Ted DiBiase.
No, yeah, he was an Indian Ted DiBiase, paying fans cash to debase themselves. Sunday Night Heat had debuted the night before.
That's right.
And he had
his big debut on Sunday Night Heat.
paid a woman $500 to eat dog food. She comes out here and says, American women will do anything for money. He specified American women. It's almost like the person writing this show has a thing with women. Hard to believe. Said he's going to pay a woman to take off her clothes, order Babu, his assistant, to find a woman.
Babu.
They brought a large woman into the ring. Don't know who she was, but God bless her. She had no trouble disrobing. She was very confident in herself.
She was heavy set, we should add.
Yes.
This was not like the blonde in the DX segment a couple of weeks ago.
No, this was the exact opposite.
3 blondes.
No,
you're right.
No. But anyway.
So she removed her blouse and her skirt, I think, and then she went to the yank of her bra, and Tiger said, no, I'll pay you to put your clothes back on. And she said, great, and put her clothes back on.
It's a lot of fake money they gave that plant.
I guess so. Mm-hmm. Moments ago, Yamaguchi-san pulled out his katana and chased the cameraman away.
Yeah, so we know that it happened moments ago. So, like, there's plenty of time to, call the police, right?
Sure. Alert the authorities.
Now, the reason they did the moments ago, the reason it allegedly wasn't live, was because we had to make sure that we could blur out Val's ass later. So, their concern was not he's going to die. It's we got to make sure we blur his buttocks.
They did it all in one take and then rerun. Okay, I got you.
This was a taped show.
Oh, okay.
It was taped a week earlier.
Then why did they have to do it beforehand?
I'm pointing out why they said it was moments ago.
So we had Rock and Owen versus Austin and Undertaker. Everyone worked their asses off, had a very good match.
They did really work their asses off here. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were... the one thing about The Undertaker, it's going to become more apparent as the next 4 years goes on. There was a time where I absolutely hated Undertaker matches as he just buried guys left and right. There is nobody in WWE history that took more of a match than The Undertaker. Most guys, you have a brief shine, and then there's the heat, and the babyface sells and sells. Then you do the comeback. Undertaker would beat on guys for like 70% of the match. They'd cut him off for like 2 minutes, and then he'd make his comeback. And then whether he won or lost was irrelevant, but that's the way he did it because his gimmick was that he was dead.
Yes.
And he was The Undertaker, and nobody wants to see The Undertaker as a babyface in peril for 10 minutes.
No.
But my God, as time goes on, it's just a burial of everybody he faces. He just destroys them forever.
Speaking of, we forgot to mention, Taker got new music for whatever reason.
My God. Well, they had a new CD out. And so there were like rock versions of everybody's theme.
Well, he's been using a famous version of his music. This one, they took that version and just remixed it for the sake of remixing it.
Because they were doing it. They did a CD.
Make the strings a little louder.
I bought it. I know this for sure.
I see.
Like they had all of these. They did it with Xpac. Remember, he had that weird kind of DX theme.
Yeah.
He did his own, and then they had another one for Undertaker, and all the guys had their own wacky theme. And many did not make TV, but this one did. Not for long.
So Taker hits Owen with the safest chokeslam of all time. Austin and Rock are brawling on the floor. Taker pins Owen with a tombstone. Soon as the ref counts 3, there's Mankind to put him in a mandible claw. Now, pay attention to what I'm saying and keep it in mind when we get to the end of Nitro. Mankind has Taker in a mandible claw. Kane appears, swings a chair at both of them, but Taker dodges and Mankind hits Kane. It is unclear who he was aiming for, but he certainly hit Kane. And then Taker grabs the chair. He hits Mankind as well. Just everyone is hitting Foley in the head with a chair for no reason. The Outlaws run out. A huge brawl breaks out, and everyone's just fighting to end the show. And then we go backstage. Security and cameraman finally break into Kaientai's dressing room. There we see Val, his buttocks exposed and blurred, standing before a chopping block. Yamaguchi-san raises his katana high in the air. The lights mysteriously go out. We hear stone striking steel. Everyone screams, and the show ends.
The last 3 minutes of this show, between Foley taking his third fucking chair shot of the night. I mean, there's no way this guy left this show without a concussion. Maybe multiple for all I know. He gets killed for the third straight time. The Outlaws hit the ring. They go after Mankind and Kane. Rock and Austin, somebody goes through a table. I don't even know because the next thing, somebody went through a table on the outside.
I honestly didn't know that until right now.
I thought that The Rock put the Austin through the table, but then Austin's in the ring hitting Kane with a stunner, and I don't even know where The Rock went.
Yes.
And then they just vanish, and we're backstage for some dude chopping off another dude's pee-pee with a fucking katana.
Yes, Austin did.
This show sucked.
Austin put Rock through a table.
Huh.
There was a lot going on, Vince. I'm not surprised you missed it.
Yeah, I'm not denying it. I just didn't know.
I that had to be off the top of my head because I couldn't even write it all down.
Yeah.
There was so much happening. I was just, what is going on in this show? Maybe I'm in a bad mood, but this show sucked. And Nitro was even worse.
Nitro.
Raw.
This fucking Raw. Show opens. Retro Raw number 272, August 10th, 1998. Mankind's having a meltdown backstage. He's throwing furniture around, declaring he wants the truth. He is then polite enough to wait for a video package and the opening credits to play. Then he storms down to the ring.
What's funny about this was they had the last week where they show what happened last week. And I'm watching it. I'm not really paying attention because I saw it last week. And then in the middle of it, they show Kane taking his mask off, and it's The Undertaker.
Yeah, that was from a while ago.
That's what I thought, too. I thought that wasn't last week. Am I watching the wrong show? As it turns out, they did the angle again on Sunday Night Heat.
Seriously?
Yes. That's why they said last week.
See, I wasn't paying attention. I just assumed it was a mishmash of stuff.
I thought it was a mismatch, too. But in fact, they just redid the same angle
Well, that
on
makes
Sunday
three of
Night
us
Heat.
now.
Well, so Mankind's in the ring. He says he wants the truth, not from Paul Bearer, not from Steve Austin, but from Vince McMahon. Vince comes out reluctantly. Says this must be humiliating the way you need help. I detest people who need help.
That's what he said.
He's rambling on about the truth hurting. Said Kane had hit Mankind with a chair on purpose last week. And Taker hit him quite clearly on purpose. They both hate you, he says.
You know what's so funny about this is I zoned out during the actual promo because I'm so sick of cahoots. And I thought, Vinny will just explain this to me, and then I'll know what's going on. I've been zoning out since you first started talking about it. Well, I don't fucking know what's going on.
Should I skip to the end?
Yes, this has to be the worst WWE storyline of 1998. It's worse than Val and Kaientai.
Yes.
I mean, it's worse than anything.
At least in Val and Kaientai, I understand everything that's going on. As stupid as it is. Here, I have no clue. All right, so Vince chastises Mankind for a long time. Then he says Kane and Undertaker are one and the same. They're the same person, apparently. We've been seeing one guy fight himself now for a year. Paul Bearer and Kane come out. Paul says Vince is trying to get inside everyone else's mind. Says he made a lot of money thanks to Vince, and now he and Kane can afford to leave whenever they want. Vince says this man in the red suit is not your son. He's a son of a bitch. He's the Undertaker. He demands Kane take his mask off, goes to reach for it himself when the lights go out. Time passes. Lights come back on much longer than that. Now Undertaker's in the ring. He has Vince by the throat. Kane is gone. No one seemed to care. And Taker lays out...
How could you?
I don't know.
How could anybody care about this storyline?
I don't know. Taker lays out Mankind and Paul Bearer, and he chases Vince backstage.
It sucked. It's the worst.
They go to the break. You come back. We see Taker walk into a room. And I'm thinking, my first thought was, why did they even bother showing this? Jim Ross is freaking out. What was that? What's going on? And I rewound to make sure I didn't miss anything. And in the mirror in Undertaker's dressing room for about 3 frames of screen time. Kane's there.
Wow.
Huh.
You know, I'm trying to figure out if I would rather watch this or the Tonight Show segments. And I actually think I'd rather watch the Tonight Show segments.
Nope.
Dude,
Tough call.
they're stupid, but at least, like, they're jokes.
I get the point of them.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff is trying to goad Jay Leno into a fight.
Yeah.
I don't know what Undertaker and Kane are doing here.
I have no
or why anyone
idea
cares.
what anybody is doing here.
Sable comes out. Jerry Lawler calls the fans a bunch of leches. Mm-hmm. He's appalled at the way they're ogling this woman. In the most wooden manner possible, she announces Luna Vachon accompanied by the Oddities. Now, I know, didn't they introduce these guys once already?
Yeah, they've been here, yeah.
But this is the first, was this Giant Silva's debut?
No, he's been here.
It has been before?
Yeah.
They had
I know Kurgan's been around.
they had Cyrus out that one time with
Yeah.
the guys from
Yeah,
the
they
Howard Stern show.
debuted one time, and
Okay.
Golga was there.
I remember Golga for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't remember Giant Silva being there. I just thought it was, I mean, well, maybe I'm wrong. This was not his debut, but you get a 7'4" guy. What's his debut? He just goes out there in a Hawaiian shirt anonymously in the background.
It's funny because I was listening to the Steve Austin podcast with Cyrus this week, and he talked about how they were at some WrestleMania post party, and Kurgan decided he wanted to dance with his wife, and Cyrus warned him. He says, "If Vince sees you dancing, it will be on TV." Smash cut to me just a mere hours later, and I'm watching the show. Here comes Kurgan dancing his way down to the ring.
Absolutely. I don't know if they were using the ICP song yet, but they clearly were editing something wacky and generic, and it was insane. In fact, it may have been more insane than the Insane Clown Posse. So apparently, did anyone else have any recollection of Luna attacking Jacqueline with roses last week? When they showed that and said it was last week, I thought, did I skip ahead several shows?
I'm trying to remember if that actually happened.
I was so confused by all of this. Anyway, it led to Luna versus Jacqueline. Are you ready for the 97 things happening at once voice?
Please.
This may be the ultimate. They did one move. Marc Mero jumped in the apron. Sable pulled him down. Mero got in Sable's face. Kurgan walked Mero down. Jacqueline speared the ref out of the ring. Mero rolled Jacqueline into the ring. Luna unloaded on Jacqueline. The ref was just fine back in the ring. The match continued. Mero took the ref. Jacqueline went up top. Sable crossed Jacqueline. Luna hit a neck breaker and a top rope splash for the win. Sable presented Luna with a bikini contest trophy that Jacqueline had won over Sable via DQ, and the 2 7-foot men carried her around the ring.
That was pretty good.
And it may have happened in less time than I actually read that.
Well, here's what I got out of this. I mean, first off, everything you said happened. I can confirm that. They've hooked up Sable with the Oddities.
Yeah.
Apparently?
She's so not into it.
No.
Like, she is so not into this role. They have this match. It's terrible. And what I really got out of this more than anything that you talked about was this goddamn ring is hard as a rock.
Oh, there's that too.
Now, you notice it less with the guys because they're heavy enough to actually move the ring a little bit. But when you see 225-pound women in there and they take a bump and they may as well have fallen onto cement. Listen, I'm not going to say that the drug use and the steroids in the 90s, in the 80s wasn't like, were super bad, because it was. But does anyone really take into account the guys that had to work 200 days a year, or in the 80s, 300 days a year, on these fucking rings? Like, we talk about all the high-risk guys and all the big bumps and stuff that everybody takes nowadays. At least the ring gives. This ring didn't give at all. It explains to me, in a lot of ways, why everybody was in so much pain. There were so many head injuries. There were so many concussions. There were so many painkiller issues. This fucking ring was hideous.
Not to mention, when you're on painkillers, you don't feel as much.
That's why they would get on the gimmicks and they'd go back in and take more bumps.
Yeah, it's all bad news. The New Age Outlaws arrived at the building.
I'm sure that ring did more damage than all these terrible chair shots that we talk about on a weekly basis. Not saying the chair shots were okay, they were also hideous, but this is every night. These guys weren't taking chair shots on house shows. But 4 days a week, they were in the ring taking bumps on that stupid ring. It's brutal.
The New Age Outlaws were all pissed off as they arrived at the building. Draws versus Savio Vega in a Brawl for All match. So Draws and Hawk had a first round draw in Brawl for All.
Oh.
We were told that
Really?
Hawk...
They had a draw?
Didn't they?
I don't think they had a draw.
I don't think so.
Did Hawk win?
It was Hawk and who?
Hawk and Draws.
I think they just showed clips of this.
Well,
I don't think they showed the whole thing.
It couldn't have been a draw because there was a draw in this show, and they went to a fourth round.
That's true. I don't know. All I know is
well,
they
allow
said...
me to talk then.
Well, I'll finish my point and then you can go.
All right.
They simply said Hawk cannot continue in the tournament due to a broken nose, and so Draws was fighting here.
All right. Well, that sounds like he won. But he couldn't continue because he had a broken nose.
I guess.
Okay. This Brawl for All sucks. Okay?
That I
Have we
concur.
made this clear? I was kind of into it at the beginning. A, for historical purposes. B, because it was absolutely nuts. Now, I don't care. The wrestlers continue to be exposed every week. These are professional wrestlers, and every week we learn they can't fight. They don't have the cardio to go 3 minutes in a fight. Like Bradshaw, Big Bad Bradshaw, he had the cardio to go about 30 seconds, and he was completely exhausted. You've exposed every single one of the wrestlers. And on top of that, until later in the show, how many weeks have we been watching this? Like 5 weeks now? There's no brackets. Like, even if you could care about this, how could you care about a tournament with no brackets? This is such a waste of time. I don't even know who won Draws versus Savio Vega. No one knows?
Draws won. I actually have a detailed breakdown, but it sounds like nobody cares. He got a bunch of takedowns and won.
Oddly enough, I thought this was the best fight of all the Brawl for All. The Draws was actually throwing and connecting.
He hit hard with his terrible windmill haymakers, although in the second round, he missed an uppercut that no one has ever missed a punch by a greater distance. I came closer to hitting Savio than Draws did. But he got a bunch of takedowns and he won. Hunter and China arrived in a convertible BMW. It looked choice. Michael Cole then tried to interview China. She told him to suck it and shoved him into the car. LOD 2000 came out.
So before the show, I believe it was Vinny was talking about the Road Dogg. Would you like to talk about the Road Dogg's tweet?
It was... yes. I've closed it now, but the issue was Road Dogg... there's a fan who said he was going to cancel the WWE Network because he was tired of not having pyro on the shows anymore. And Road Dogg simply asked, because of a lack of pyro? He was as blown away as I was.
Well, now we know why there's no more pyro. Hawk is coming down to the ring. They set off the pyro, fucking knocks him off the ramp, and he falls down in a heap. It's just too dangerous.
It scared him.
Yeah.
The Road Warriors.
Right.
So everyone flees to make, or rushes to Hawk's side to make sure he is okay. They go to break. After the break, Hawk still wants to fight, but they say, no, you can't even walk down the damn aisle. You have to go to the back. So we go to Sunday Night Heat, where Southern Justice and Double J turned on Tennessee Lee and laid him out.
There is so much happening on this show. It's mind-blowing.
So Southern Justice comes out. Hawk goes after them. He's useless. They take Hawk to the back. Southern Justice is double-teaming Animal. And then Draws. Darren Drozdov, who 10 minutes before was in a real fight.
Can you imagine that they did this?
No.
Like, this guy could have got hurt.
I'm stunned he did not.
You booked a segment with Draws immediately following him doing a Brawl for All fight.
What would happen if Draws got knocked out?
I'm sure they would have sent him out. There's no doubt in
Yeah,
my
they would
mind.
just had him stumble down to the ring.
We didn't watch the show, but I've forgotten this. Do you realize that in the Steve Austin Kane main event at King of the Ring, Mankind interfered immediately after falling off the cell twice?
Yeah, that's true. That's right. He was there.
So yes, had Darren Drozdov been knocked batty, he could have had a jaw broken, lost all his teeth. Had an eye knocked out, they would have sent him out there to do the spot anyway. So Darren Drozdov goes out after his real fight to clear the ring. Jeff Jarrett is there with a guitar reading Don't Piss Me Off, and he breaks the guitar over the head of Draws, who I remind you had just been in a real fight. I couldn't believe this. I was stunned. Then Jarrett shoved off some of Draws' hair. Now, beyond being stunned and appalled at the way they treated this man, why the fuck are Jarrett and Draws feuding? What happened? Because he turned on Tennessee Lee?
He's in cahoots with the LOD.
This show sucks. Xpac arrived by himself. Poor Xpac. Everyone else has at least one friend. So the Outlaws come out, and then Xpac comes out, and they showed Xpac's big return to the WWF the night after WrestleMania just 5 months ago, and now they are here teasing the end of DX after this amazing Hall of Fame run.
Not the end of DX, a DX split.
As we were told, yes. So Triple H and China come out. Did I mention, by the way, how ridiculous China's implants were this week?
Yeah, I think she got them redone. Massive.
Yeah, and a very, very tight shirt. So Hunter says it has been a long 2 weeks. 2 weeks this thing was going. Now they're ready to break up.
Long time.
He and Xpac have been mad at each other. Xpac takes the mic, says he's had it with Hunter and his bitch. Says, you're a couple of jack-offs. Hunter says, you're calling me a jack-off. And I said, yes, you're a jack-off. Hunter using the classic, I know you are, but what am I defense? So the Outlaws call each other jack-offs, and they say, no, we're not jack-offs, you're jack-offs. And everyone says this 95 times. And finally they agree, we are all jack-offs. And the fans cheer. Hunter says, no one would know more about jack-offs than them. It is time to give the people what they wanted, the DX split. And they're all about to drop their pants when China interrupts. I will say the only good thing about this was Billy Gunn's reaction to China speaking. He was caught totally off guard. I don't think he knew she was capable.
He was dumbfounded. He was speechless.
Yeah, ironically. So China says she's tired. Everyone's tired of seeing their asses, which made Mr. Ass very upset. He's Mr. Ass.
Right.
She says if anyone's going to show off a DX split, it will be her. She pulls down her pants to show her thong. Lord knows she did a lot of squats. And they all celebrated. And Hunter tried to get some girls to flash him. And they didn't.
Yeah, he was shut down.
And that was it.
You know, this Raw show, for weeks now, there have been these random matches where like Xpac and Triple H are fighting each other. And it's like, what's going on here? Like, why are they fighting each other? And then last week, it was a number one contenders match. So at least there was like a reason for them to be in the ring together. But then when that one was over, they, like, China forearmed Xpac.
Hunter cheated to win.
Causing Hunter to beat Xpac, and now he's not getting an Intercontinental Championship match. I mean, so you're telling me that all of that was like their plan so that they could come out in 3 weeks and moon the crowd? Is that what we're supposed to believe here?
That's what it comes off.
The way I was thinking about this, and we'll get to this when we talk about Val a little bit later. It's like Vince Russo is writing all these storylines, and he doesn't have a finish. There's no ending to the story.
But I mean, why was there even a storyline that DX was fighting each other?
I don't know.
This is so stupid.
And I don't think he knew either. He just threw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and then when it came to the end of whatever he was writing, he winged it.
So you're telling me again that in storyline, they went backstage last week. Hunter and Xpac decided this is the finish. China's going to hit you as hard as she can. I'm going to pin you. We're going to fake fight, but it'll lead to next week when we're going to go moon the crowd. That's what we're supposed to believe as viewers.
Wait till we get to the Val thing.
This
it's even
was
more ridiculous.
So stupid.
Indeed. So, let's see. Michael Cole tries to interview Steve Austin. Steve drags him to the back.
Oh, no. Before you get there. They did this stupid DX thing. Then they go to a video where John Wayne Bobbitt's going to be on the show. Mm-hmm. And so there are all of these headlines about his penis is cut off and ouch is one of the headlines, all of this bullshit. Then they cut to Steve Austin sitting in his locker room. He looks so disgusted. Like, he cannot believe he is a part of this show. Then they trot in Michael Cole, and he is humiliated.
So, yes, Austin drags Cole to the showers, turns the shower on him, leaves. Godfather comes out with some hoes. The one on his right had some great legs.
The blonde? That was on the far left.
The one in the gold.
The blonde was...
Your favorite.
Yeah.
It's always the blonde.
Yeah.
With him.
Did you see these three? For everybody, it was the blonde.
So, Bart Gunn then ambushes the announce desk. He demands respect from Jim Ross. They're bickering. Vader comes out.
And he does calisthenics on the ramp.
Maybe he was dancing with Kurgan. Because Vader was dancing to his song.
Yeah, I think it was showing that, hey, look at me. I'm in shape.
Maybe that was it.
Fat no more.
I remember going to a house show, and the main event was Vader against Shawn Michaels. And when Shawn's music hit, about the second verse, you could see Vader visibly singing along in the ring.
To Sexy Boy?
Sexy Boy.
I pay $100 to hear Vader sing that song. So, Vader comes out. Godfather asks, have you ever been with a hoe? He presents Vader with the lineup. And Vader looked at them like a 14-year-old who had never touched a boob before.
Godfather told him, I'll give you all 3 for the entire night. Do whatever you want with them. They'll even wash your clothes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do laundry.
Yeah.
So,
Vader says no.
Vader says no first.
He offers all 3. And then Vader says yes.
Well, Vader first confirms the offer by holding up his hand with 3 fingers to indicate all 3 of them. And I see he's bleeding.
Yeah.
What happened? So, once he is offered all 3, Vader says, well, okay then. Vader takes the women and he leaves. Or starts to leave. They cut to the floor where Bart Gunn is sitting there. I typed the words, as it says here, Bart Gunn was still out there. No sooner should I type that than Jim Ross says, Bart Gunn is still here.
Bart Gunn gets in Vader's face. And this is what Vader said. Did you write down what he said?
No.
He said, Bart, if you ever get the same opportunity I got, you'd better take the hose. That's why Bart punched him.
Let's see.
I don't know why. Vader was just offering him friendly advice. I presume that Bart Gunn thought that Vader was belittling him because, in fact, Bart Gunn is facing the Godfather next week. And so maybe in Bart's mind he thought, Vader telling me to choose the hose over the Godfather, he thinks I can't beat the Godfather. I should punch him in the face. That's my booking of this whole segment.
So yeah, Bart punches out Vader. Godfather leaves with the hose anyway. And all I could think when this was done was, could you have made Vader look like a bigger geek here?
No. No, you couldn't.
The Road Warriors.
He didn't even get him some.
The Road Warriors are clan. No! Nothing happened. Nothing benefited him here. He did a fat dance. He thought he was going to lose his V card. Then he got knocked out and the girls left him.
Wow, you think he's a virgin?
The way he was behaving here.
I see.
Man, you're right. He didn't even get him in the end.
No.
I mean, maybe he went backstage
Or the
and
front.
said, listen, buddy, I mean, we made a deal. We made a verbal agreement here.
We had a handshake. I have film.
Yeah. I held up 3 fingers.
That's right. What else could that mean? A giant limo pulled up. John Wayne Bobbitt and Val Venis were inside.
That's 2, Brian.
They looked sad.
That's actually 4. I'm trying to do the Vader. Didn't Vader have like a weird hand signal?
It's
put his-
Yeah. Are you sure he wasn't doing that?
the Vulcan thing.
Are you sure he wasn't like, Godfather, I'm Vader?
Need 2?
I believe he was holding up 3 fingers to
Okay.
indicate I want 3 women.
All right, fine.
I don't know, and I'm certainly not going back to check.
Dude, I'd go back and check. The blonde.
Dustin Rhodes did a backstage promo saying, the following segment will deal with fornication and violence. It is unfit for family viewing. We all have choices about what to watch. He suggested we, the viewers at home, turn to the Discovery Channel for a special on reptiles.
Dude, if this would have been live, I would have switched and watched these goddamn reptiles. Because it's way better than this show.
And then we turned out this segment was sponsored by Evangelists Against Television, Movies, and Entertainment.
So,
Oh, the wit.
By the way, do you see what that acronym is?
Spell it out. Eat me.
well,
Yeah.
cool.
The wit. The mirth. John Bobbitt pushes Val Venis out in a wheelchair. Now, you'd mentioned this. For those of you who don't know, John Wayne Bobbitt was a guy who was cruel enough to his wife that she cut his dick off and threw it out the window.
Well, to be fair, he was acquitted. It was he
see.
said, she said.
I
Lack
see.
of evidence.
But she got very mad and did, in fact, chop his dick off.
I'm going to bet he wasn't an angel up to this point.
Well, I mean, I don't know. But,
He was
but the
acquitted.
facts of the matter are, one night when he was asleep,
Yeah.
she took a knife and she chopped his cock off.
Yeah.
She got in the car. She left with the evidence.
Yeah.
She threw it out the window into a field.
Right.
She kept driving. She suddenly realized, I just chopped his dick off.
Yeah.
She called 911. They come and arrest her. They go find
The member.
the cock.
Yeah.
9-hour operation. Can you imagine?
No.
They
I can't imagine any of it, to
they
be honest.
reattach it. And at the end of the day, they said he did not regain full sensation.
I see.
I'm like,
Listen, if I make a woman that angry with me, I'm gonna have to take a hard look in the mirror.
I'm just thinking about this full sensation thing. Like, he didn't get full sensation back.
Right.
But you're telling me that he got partial sensation back.
Apparently.
His cock was chopped off, thrown in a field, saved, sewn back on. Like, dude, you should be happy. Like, it's back.
Yes.
Not only that, he did porn.
Well, he did.
So he must have regained some sensation.
Not necessarily. I mean, I didn't watch it. Who knows?
We have been watching the Viagra commercials. Maybe they work on that too.
That's true. We don't know.
Yeah.
They installed a pump like the Reeboks.
So everyone ignored both what he was accused of and the horrible thing that happened to him, and it just became a nationwide joke. And
It's true.
At the time, I guess I kind of laughed at it too. But I'm looking back at it now because I haven't thought about it in 20 years. This is a horrible story.
You don't say.
Everything about this.
You don't say.
Why is this funny?
Do you know he formed a band?
I didn't look that up.
I did. I forget the name of it, but it was a play off his cock. It was they called themselves the Dismembered or something like that. I'm gonna find it.
So as it turns out, he's actually not a talented performer.
Oh God, he's hideous.
He was a black hole of charisma.
He's a boring man. He cannot tell jokes. I'm assuming his music and porn are both awful. So Val's out there. Mrs. Yamaguchi-san is out there as well. And Val is very subdued as he begins to speak. He says he makes a bunch of dick jokes. I'm half the man I used to be.
The band was called the Severed Parts. Yes.
So Val makes a bunch of dick jokes and then tears off his shirt, tears off his pants, which won't tear away. This took a long time. Val's pants put up a better fight than John Bobbitt's penis. Val finally explains the butcher's block had been cold. This caused shrinkage. And it turns out John Bobbitt was in the room turning the lights off. That's the story now. So the lights...
What was he doing there?
I don't know.
He's a vigilante for people that are going to have their member chopped off. He is fighting for the right.
His superpower?
Yes, absolutely.
I have penis slicing sense.
He waits in the shadows, and when the right time comes, he flips the light off.
He can sense when it's about to happen, gets there in the nick of time, and subtly saves the day.
He feels a tingle in his boys, and he says,
he's a
"We gotta go."
vigilante. Thank you.
He's got three sidekicks, Pete and the twins.
Okay. So, yes, the story is Bobbitt was in the room. He turned the lights off. This saved Val's sausage. Lawler interviews Bobbitt, who... I have a new appreciation for Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff is a stand-up comedian. I've underestimated him badly.
Was it even a joke?
There were like 3 jokes in here about cutting, but you couldn't tell because he told them so badly. Val then says he has had his fun with Mrs. Yamaguchi-san, but no woman is worth the trouble she had brought him. And that's a fair point. That's a strong point. Tells her to hit the bricks. She's sad. She leaves. And then Val throws her a battery.
Not just a battery, a AA.
Great.
That's what Mrs. Yamaguchi-san needs, not the D.
Okay, I guess so.
Okay.
You want to explain the joke? No.
No. I don't want it explained. Edge is watching this horrible show in the crowd. Fortunately for him, he had shitty seats. Probably wanted no part of this anymore. Send me back to Canada. Bradshaw versus Marc Mero in a Brawl for All match. As Brian noted, Bradshaw got blown up in 30 seconds, and Mero still couldn't beat him.
By the way, Mero put back into the competition.
I've lost track. I don't know anymore.
I was having a conversation with a buddy. He says, "Did you notice that everybody who is good at the takedown defense, ever since Steve Williams was hurt, everybody that's good at the takedown defense, somehow off the show, off the Brawl for All."
I guess so. So Bradshaw's a huge monster. Marc Mero has some talent as a boxer, but there's nothing he can do with this Frankenstein in there. And even though this Frankenstein is blown up, he can just fall on Mero and get a takedown and get points. So JBL will get 1 takedown. Mero would punch him a lot. They just get 5 points to the round, so that's a draw. This happened 3 times. It went into overtime. Bradshaw looked like he wanted to die. And many times he did not appear to know the rules. He kept trying to wrestle on the ground. Mero was fucking pissed. Nobody seemed to know what a takedown was, and eventually it went into a 4th round, and then Bradshaw was just declared the winner.
Marc Mero was so angry when
Yes.
it was like Bradshaw kept not breaking.
Well, Bradshaw
Like,
was
you gotta
blown up.
break.
Yeah, Bradshaw was blown up, and he figured if I can just hang on to this guy on the ground, I can kill time. That's what he was trying to do.
Marc Mero cursing at the referee.
This tournament. My God. Michael Cole tried to interview The Undertaker. Taker said he would do his talking in the ring.
By the way, we finally did get the brackets.
Yeah.
It is Bradshaw versus Draws, and it is Bart Gunn versus The Godfather. Now, as much as I don't give a shit about this Brawl for All anymore, I am excited to see Bart Gunn versus The Godfather. That sounds like a slobber knocker. Bradshaw Draws, I could not possibly care less about.
So the main event of the show is a four-way tag team match. They explain there is now the outlaw rule. And they go to the last time they did a 4-way when one outlaw pinned the other, which made them the winners. So they say you can't do that anymore. You have to pin another team. So Rock and Owen Hart come out. And then the Outlaws come out. Then Ken Shamrock comes out. He attacks Owen. DX runs out to attack The Rock 5-on-1. Eventually the Nation comes out. Steve Blackman also comes out. He talks Shamrock down. They go to commercial. After the break, we have the match. D'Lo Brown is out there to take Owen's place. So the 4 teams in this tag team title match are D'Lo Brown and The Rock, the New Age Outlaws, the champions, Steve Austin and The Undertaker, and Mankind and Kane. Story is, match went like 15 minutes, and actually was pretty good, to be fair. This is a pretty good match. Kane's on the apron literally the entire time. There is a long heat segment on Road Dogg.
I got to talk about this long heat segment. I know that they're trying to do like a traditional match and get heat and that sort of thing, but when this match first started, like when all the excitement happened at the beginning of the match, fans were so into this match. Then they cut off the Road Dogg, and there's 8 guys in the match, and the Road Dogg is laying there on the mat, and there's some holds, and the match just ground to a halt, and the crowd died. Like, I don't think in a 4 corners match you can pull that off. Traditional getting the heat on a guy for an extended period of time for him to get the hot tag.
So, Road Dogg is getting beat up. They take out Billy Gunn so he can't tag in Billy. So he goes to tag in Undertaker instead. Taker hits the ring and runs wild. Austin comes in, hits the ring and runs wild. And then Kane tags himself in for the first time. He grabs Taker, chokeslams him, pins him. As soon as the ref counts 3, Taker does the zombie sit-up and then stands right up to his feet. Lawler is screaming, Undertaker has screwed Steve Austin by costing him the World Tag Team titles.
Jerry Lawler's theory is that The Undertaker threw the match.
Yes.
Because now he's fine.
Well,
And
to be fair, that's how it
he's got
appeared.
a point.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But this begs the question. If he was willing, first of all, he didn't just screw Austin, he screwed himself. Now he's not the tag team champion either, geek. So, if he didn't care about them at all, why did he bother going through the trouble to win them in the first place? This storyline sucks. It sucks from beginning to end, and every change they make just makes it suck more.
I'm telling you right now, the Cahoots storyline was the worst storyline in all of WWE in all of 98. Maybe in its history.
I'm sure I've mentioned this when we started going back over this. In 1998 watching this, I thought this made no sense, but I didn't like outright hate it. But now I'm older, hopefully wiser. I thought going back over this, it'll make a little more sense. No, it makes less sense, and this time I do hate it. This stuff sucks.
And then as it's ending, they announce it's Steve Austin versus The Undertaker at SummerSlam.
That's been announced for a while.
And I know, but when they brought it up at the end, after this match, it just really hit me that this fucking Cahoot storyline is the build to Undertaker versus Steve Austin at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm. Right, yes. That is true.
You've got to be kidding me.
No. Don't you want to see them fight now?
No, I don't want to ever see them again.
And then...
Why are you bringing this up?
Extra attitude. I'm going to read my entire notes.
I didn't get extra attitude.
What?
It didn't air.
Yo, we did.
Well,
No, it didn't. The thing ended.
Let me tell you what you missed.
Okay.
Verbatim from my notes here. These are always lame. Austin got in Taker's face, and Taker left, and Austin's music played.
Wait, that was the extra attitude?
Yes.
So I did see that.
What in the hell was the point of this? I'm actually angry about this and how stupid and pointless it was.
There's never been a good extra attitude.
This had to have been the worst one.
Well, I mean, it's not like there have been good ones.
I don't know what, but why? Like, it only took like 30 seconds, but I was still so angry to have those 30 seconds wasted.
I don't know what to tell you, dude.
That was a terrible episode of Raw.
It was terrible.
Retro Raw number 273, August 17th, 1998.
This Raw show is so terrible. Did I mention that? I'm not even talking about this week. I'm talking about it's gotten so bad. How many segments were on this show? Are we watching Impact?
That is a great comparison, actually.
Vince Russo was never any good. I know people like to say that he was good in WWF, and then he went to WCW without a filter, and he sucked. These people are wrong. I'm watching it week to week again. It's horrible. This show is hideous.
So there's a pattern.
Really? I'd like to hear it.
Every single episode of Raw now starts with somebody being cranky backstage and throwing a tantrum, conveniently waiting until the show goes live, and then pausing their tantrum so they can do the opening credits, and then going down to the ring.
Yeah, there is that pattern. I thought the pattern was it's just 25 terrible segments, one right after the other.
That is also,
many of which bleed into others.
That is also a pattern. The tessellations in Vince Russo Raws are many. So Austin tries to get into Vince's office. He fails. He leaves. The credits roll.
Was this whole thing bleeped or was it just me?
I don't think so. I'm sure there's something.
Something
By the way,
went wrong with my TV this first segment.
The opening graphics to Raw have Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Sid, if you look close enough. A hearse pulls into the arena, and then Austin is driving the hearse, and he gets out. So he was so mad he wanted to get into Vince's office, and when Vince wouldn't let him in, he said, I'll show Vince, I'll drive this hearse into the arena.
Dude, it's way worse than that. The show opens with him banging on the door, trying to get into his office. He says that Vince needs to come out right now or there's going to be trouble. Vince doesn't come out. Austin drives the hearse. He goes to the ring. He demands Vince come out. He must talk to Vince, Vinny. He must talk to him. Pat Patterson comes out, then Briscoe, then Slaughter, and finally Vince. Finally, they're all in the ring. Finally, after all this time, Austin has the opportunity to tell Vince what was so fucking important. And do you know what it is? He tells him, before the show is over, I'm going to beat up Undertaker and put him in this car. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what he was so angry about.
Yeah.
What?
No, that's the long and the short of it, yes.
An irrational character like Austin, this was too irrational. Like, stuff happens, but are we supposed to not think about what's actually happening? That's what he was so mad about.
Yeah.
That he wanted to tell Vince, I'm going to beat up The Undertaker and put him in this car.
Vince must know this. I can't just go down to the ring and say it. I have to have Vince in the ring to...
I'm not missing anything.
No?
There was nothing else that he said.
Well, the two details. One is what he said, is what he held. He's got the Smoking Skulls championship belt now.
He's had that for a few weeks.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was no,
announcement?
Nothing.
A presentation?
No.
Yeah.
Apparently we don't have the internet as part of the WWE network at the time.
Yeah.
They alerted us to this.
Yeah, so he just got a new belt. The other thing is he dropped a line in here about how he said Vince must be happy that Austin and Taker are no longer tag team champions. Vince denied this. Austin was not buying this denial, but more important, he says, that's okay, I'm just happy I don't have to team with Undertaker anymore. This is the first time a guy went on TV and just said he did not care about championships.
No, it's had to have happened before, but it's got to be one of the first times.
Yeah, so that sucked.
And Triple H made a mockery of the European title. The European title has been mocked forever.
Since it existed, basically.
And this was the tag titles.
Yeah.
They haven't done it for the main title yet.
That's true.
But I was just thinking about this right now because I'd never thought about it before, but can you imagine 19 years from now when we're reviewing 2017 Raws Think about how much
It'll be the first time
stuff.
for me.
Think about how much stuff they do on WWE.com and Twitter and social media. We're not going to have access to any of that.
Yeah.
It's going to be 19 years into the Wayback Machine. The show is going to be fucking impossible to follow.
You are not wrong. Ken Shamrock versus Dan Severn versus Owen Hart. They plugged the Lion's Den match between Shamrock and Hart, which would be in a theater next to Madison Square Garden, which is where SummerSlam was. So most of this was Owen and Shamrock doing a very fun one-on-one match as Dan Severn just stood in the corner, arms at his sides. And finally, Severn got involved, broke up a Shamrock pin, and then Shamrock hooked the ankle lock on Owen, but Severn grabbed Shamrock in a choke, and Owen joined in and put the boots to him, and Severn was declared the winner. But really, the whole thing was clearly a plot by Severn and Owen to take Shamrock out. Kept beating Shamrock until Steve Blackman made the save. He wiped out Owen, but then Severn turned on Blackman, choked him out too, and Severn and Owen left, and Steve Blackman and Ken Shamrock recovered and began to throw a tantrum that lasted the rest of the show.
So a few things. First off, listen, something's good, I'll tell you. This is pretty good because this was the perfect usage of Dan Severn. Because Dan Severn is not a very good professional wrestler. Shamrock and Owen carried the entire match. All he did was stand there and then jump in for the finish. It was all a ploy. They're setting up a tag team match. They did a very good job of it. We got to see Dan Severn and Owen Hart high-five each other. That was the most astonishing thing in this whole match.
Widest moment in wrestling history.
Watch Dan Severn high-five Owen Hart. And yes, because that's his gimmick, Ken Shamrock snapped afterwards.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does. He snaps when he gets mad. Because I guess he's an MMA fighter. And they're cavemen. And when they get mad, they snap.
Well, Brian, he's the world's most dangerous man. You can't be dangerous if you're calm.
You know, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to their show-long snappage as we get going here. Because let me start by just saying one thing. They didn't both snap. Shamrock snapped.
That's true at first, yes.
Shamrock woke up from being choked out. Blackman says, "You done got choked out," by Dan Severn. Shamrock absolutely flipped his lid, and Blackman's job was to try to calm him down.
Yeah.
Unsnap him. So remember that.
Okay.
That's how this started.
Yes. The first Brawl for All semifinal were almost done.
No, before that, on the phone,
Well, yes.
the president.
Yes, the president.
That's
we were
what it
told.
said.
Yeah.
On the phone, the president.
Yeah.
Not Bill Clinton.
No.
The president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had a show-long gag, which was never any funny.
It was never funny.
Like, it was offensively unfunny. Of Jerry Lawler talking to a Bill Clinton imitator, making Monica Lewinsky jokes over and over and over. Often just during matches.
It was terrible.
So, Godfather and Bart Gunn are having a shoot fight here that was set up with an angle the night before where Godfather and Vader attacked Bart. And then Godfather cuts a promo before this shoot fight saying Bart will not have a chance to take the hose.
He says, "I was about to offer you these hoes, but not tonight. I'm just going to beat your ass." That was awesome.
So, they've
added a rule, by the way. If you don't break, you will lose 5 points.
I see.
So clearly they had to put this in because this fucker Bradshaw would not stop grabbing guys.
Yeah, and hugging them.
Yeah.
So, they had a fun, terrible fight.
Well, here's my thoughts very quickly. So the first round was kind of boring because if you want to have a fun, wild fight, you either want a mismatch or you want two guys who completely suck.
Yes.
We're far enough along that these were clearly the two best guys in the tournament. And so the first round, they negated each other, and it was very boring.
Fair.
Second round.
I did note here, it was the second round where they went to town.
Yeah, second round, Godfather landed a ton of shots, but they weren't hurting Bart. And so Godfather wore himself out.
Yeah.
And then Bart went to work on him, got a knockdown at the end of the round. And then in round 3, he hit a right hand.
Well, let me tell you, here's how it went, because Bart survived that Godfather flurry in the second round.
Yes. Let him punch himself out.
Basically, I don't know if that was his plan, but that's how it went down. So now it's Bart's turn to go on offense. And Bart just has this horrible, I guess it's a cross, I'm not really sure. It's a straight arm swing and punch. And he just hits the same punch over and over and over again. And what I figured out, obviously these guys, and they tell you they're not trained boxers, but the biggest difference between these guys and trained boxers is not so much that they can't hit hard. They really can. It just takes them forever to set up and deliver. Bart's punches are coming from a mile away, and it's the same punch over and over and over again, and Godfather can't do anything about it. And Bart hits like 8 of them in a row, and we've already seen him knock guys out with this. So they go to the third round, and the third round starts, and Bart throws 2 or 3 of those same lefts, and then he unloads with the right. Caught Godfather totally off guard, and knocked him clean out. That was that.
So more heat for this in any fight in Brawl for All history. Fans recognize these two guys kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They were into it. I had a revelation during this fight. I've realized that Bart Gunn versus Butterbean, if you take out the fact that they were heavyweights and much harder hitters, it is the absolute best analogy for Mayweather versus McGregor.
Yeah.
So Mayweather, granted, he's a McGregor, Conor, is a professional fighter.
He sure is.
And Bart was a Brawl for All guy.
Yeah.
Okay. But in terms of boxing skill, Mayweather blows away Butterbean.
Oh, yeah.
He blows him away. Some people don't remember this, but before the Butterbean Bart Gunn fight, do you know how many people were positive that Bart Gunn was going to knock out Butterbean? I mean, everybody in WWE, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put the match together.
Yeah.
Like, the idea at the time was Butterbean is a joke. He's a gimmick boxer. And man, Bart Gunn won the Brawl for All. He's going to go in there and he's going to knock out Butterbean. Do
He's
you remember
much
what
taller.
happened? He was obliterated by Butterbean.
As I recall, my friend's comment on watching the knockout was, I'd never seen a man's head fly in 3 different directions at once.
That's right.
Yes.
Now, granted, I don't think Mayweather is knocking out McGregor, but this is what we're talking about here. A guy who's never been in a boxing match in his whole entire life.
Against the best boxer in the world.
Against not only the best defensive boxer in the world.
Yes. It just occurred to me, I'm going to be in Las Vegas before that fight. I can place a wager.
You could place a wager.
I may have to do that.
The odds are incredible. I wish I could... If anybody knows what the odds were, if they actually did odds for Bart Gunn Butterbean, I gotta know. I
seem to recall hearing the story because I was dumbfounded when I read this. Maybe it was bullshit what I read, but I read the story that Butterbean arrived at the building for WrestleMania that day thinking it was going to be a work.
He may have.
And they told him, no, this is going to be a real fight.
They very well could have gimmicked him up.
So, yeah. Okay, so Bart wins the fight. He cuts a promo on Jim Ross demanding respect, and Ross is like, you're earning respect, dude. What do you want? And then another show-long gimmick. They cut backstage where there was a door. They showed this door for a while. They promised Undertaker would show up at this very door. And then Shamrock and Blackman chose this exact moment to come storming through, tossing furniture around.
Yeah, so it started out with Shamrock angry and Blackman trying to calm him down. But now Shamrock is so wild that Blackman, he's like a guy in a riot. He just suddenly decides, well, everyone's throwing things. I'm going to start throwing things. And for no reason, now Blackman is just throwing things all over the place with Ken Shamrock. Why was he so mad?
Don't know.
Why was he throwing things?
I don't know. They go to commercial. They come back. Michael Cole says Severn will be training Owen Hart for his Lions Den match against Shamrock. And we will have a statement from Shamrock and Blackman later. That's what he announced. Brian Christopher versus, in his Monday Night Raw debut, Gangrel.
I did love that Shamrock, by the way, was so irate that Severn was training this untrained guy for a match that's Shamrock's specialty in a week. Like, what are you so mad about? Here's another analogy. That's like if a week before Mayweather McGregor, like somehow Muhammad Ali in his prime showed up to train McGregor for 1 week.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, a week training? I'm furious. Ridiculous. The show's ridiculous.
They showed Edge in the crowd watching Grant Gangrel intently. There's a different posture and facial expression than he had because he's been in the crowd for weeks.
I had totally forgotten about Edge and Christian as vampires.
Edge and
and
Christian
then when he
as-
came out, I was like, oh my God.
Edge and Christian as vampires, fluffy shirts aplenty. So Gangrel faced Christopher here. It was a total squash, pinned him with the Impact DDT. Pretty good debut. And if
What'd they call that damn move? It had a name.
it changed a lot. There was like the Impact DDT, the Impaler DDT.
Impaler DDT.
He's a vampire.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But it was a good debut, an all-time great entrance if you've never seen it. Gangrel coming up to a ring of fire, got the cool music going.
I like how they called the Impaler. Like, if you're a vampire, that's your fear.
That's true.
That would be like Superman having a move called the Kryptonite. It's my move.
So, yeah, it was a good debut. Shamrock, as I wrote here, screamed his way through a promo backstage. You can't be this angry this long and not just die.
Well, he did. He was.
They threw more furniture around. And then it was time for more shots of the door. Doors are scary. Okay, here we go.
Well, get the voice ready
Well,
for this absolute disaster.
I don't even know if I can...
There's actually too much for the voice.
It's not even that. It's not even that it's too much different stuff. It's just what the stuff they had was presented. It is too much stuff for the voice. I'm looking over my notes here.
All right, I'll get started.
Okay.
So there's supposed to be an interview with like DX or something, and the Nation attacks him, and a brawl begins. Okay. They're scheduled to have a street fight.
Yes.
Let me repeat that. They're scheduled to have a street fight
Street fight.
later in the show. So they start brawling.
They start fighting.
Yeah. So as they're fighting, there is a DOA versus Farouk and Scorpio match. The Disciples of the Apocalypse. Ron and Don Harris.
Yeah.
Just two geeks against Farouk and Scorpio. Now, granted, Farouk and Scorpio are a makeshift team, but it is made very clear to us that they're unbeaten. They're an unbeaten team. They have never lost as a team. They go in there, they have a match, they do twin magic, and fucking DOA, of all people, ends the undefeated streak of Farouk and Scorpio. I mean, it doesn't matter, but why?
Okay. You're right. And that all happened. But you're not doing nearly enough justice to all the terrible shit going on. While that match was going on, we had more bullshit with Jerry Lawler and the President. They put that gimmick away, put the match on TV, and as a tag match, it was a fine little TV tag match, and I was enjoying myself. Then they cut backstage during the match to show DX and the Nation brawling. And then TV hell happened. Every 6 seconds, they would cut back from the brawl in the back to the match in the ring, to the brawl in the back, to the match in the ring, to the brawl in the back, to the match in the ring. This made it impossible to keep track of either one. I had no idea what was going on for like a minute. Farouk makes his comeback. The brawl comes out on stage now. The brawl is distracting the guys in the ring. They have the twin magic, which, by the way, Scorpio hits a 450 on a Harris. There is no ref. He goes to get the ref. The twins switch, but they switch by having the guy who had just taken a 450 splash, he just stands up and leaves. He was so nonchalant about it, I thought, why are you even bothering switching? You're clearly fine. They pinned Farouk with a small package. And at this point, this segment ended.
But then we got the actual street fight.
But before that, Brian, we had to go backstage for a shot of a door.
Yeah, this
Call
door.
your neighbors. There's a fucking door on TV.
There was a door.
I'm certain this Raw was worse than Nitro.
So DX
Maybe any Nitro.
and the Nation, they fight from backstage, they fight down the aisle, they get in the ring, and it's time for the actual street fight. The bell rings for the street fight.
But first, everyone's going to politely wait for DX to do their catchphrase.
Yes.
After they've already been fighting for 15 minutes.
They fight, they stop for the
This
catchphrase.
so sucked.
They start fighting again. They're whacking each other in the head with garbage cans. JR nonchalantly mentions there will be concussions galore as a result of all of this. Bodies everywhere, it's a fucking mess. And then, if it's not enough of a mess, out comes Double J. Jeff Jarrett comes down. He attacks Xpac. They begin to brawl. Then, down the ramp comes Southern Justice. Southern Justice comes down to the ring. Somewhere in here, I presume, Jeff Jarrett cuts off some of Xpac's hair.
That did happen.
Okay. It's still a mess. Rock now has a ladder. He's waffling Triple H with it, presumably to set up their ladder match. Hunter's all busted open. And then The Rock just leaves and they play the Nation's music.
Correct.
Okay, now listen. I went back on the Wayback Machine, the old internet, to find out what the fucking finish of this street fight was. Now, the first place I found claimed that the Nation defeated DX. I said, no. I had to go to another few sites. I'm certain there was no finish.
There was no finish.
They went to a no contest in a street fight.
In a street fight.
Fuck this show.
Oh, yeah. Fuck
it sucks.
Yeah. No, there was no pinfall. There was no submission. Rock just beat a guy up. And keep in mind,
even Nitro didn't do a no contest in a street fight.
It's not even like the Nation just walked out. At that point, you have to say, well, we can't have the match now. Those guys left, so we have to wave it off. Rock walked out by himself. D'Lo and Mark Henry were still in the ring. It was just over. Now, what else did we miss here? The whole segment...
I don't know. You tell me. I felt like I missed the whole match.
The whole segment was just a flagrant ECW ripoff. They may as well have had weapons pushed out in a shopping cart and natural-born killers playing over the loudspeakers. Did you notice, Brian, that this match was 4-on-3 advantage babyfaces?
No,
there were 4 DX dudes and only 3 guys in the Nation.
I didn't notice that.
Now, one was
all.
Mark Henry. Perhaps he counts twice.
It's possible.
There were trash can lids to the head, cookie trays to the head, trash can shots to the head. One ring, 7 wrestlers, and a referee. And they're not only are they all in the ring, they're all doing spots. Just falling into each other. Somehow, in this melee, all these bodies, Rock managed to hit a people's elbow in the ring. And then all that bullshit with Southern Justice and Jeff Jarrett and hair cutting happened. And then Rock left. Hunter was bleeding from the mouth. Billy was bleeding from like above his ear.
I was bleeding from the brain.
That was that.
It sucked.
Tiger Ali Singh came out to pay somebody to do something gross. The story was that his assistant, Babu, had been training in the hot sun earlier today, and someone was going to come in and get $500 to lick his sweaty feet. At this point, Jerry Lawler, and this is a quote, he said this would be extra gross because Babu is Asian. Not making that up. That's appalling. So, a guy took $500. He licked the onions or whatever it was they stuck between his toes.
Gleefully.
Yeah.
They appear to be like sesame seeds or
whatever.
Sunflower seeds. Yeah. Gleefully licked between this guy's toes because he wasn't an idiot. He knew this wasn't real, but he was getting a real $500.
Exactly.
And he was so excited about it.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Babu was trying so hard not to laugh that this man licked his toes. This did in fact suck, and it made me never want to see them again. Breaking news, everyone. The door is open.
Man.
And now we can see behind it. And it's another door.
No.
Yes. Sable versus Jacqueline in an arm wrestling match. So they did a bikini contest and there was a trophy. And like Jackie was named winner via DQ, and so she had the trophy, but Sable came out with it here. I don't know. They had a terrible worked arm wrestling match. Like, look at the arms in these women. I'm supposed to believe Sable could hang with Jacqueline in an arm wrestling match. No.
The longer limbs. She's got a little extra limbs.
Oh, well, yes. Lever, yes. So Jacqueline was about to lose. She pulled away. She pushed the table over on Sable.
It was actually terrible because...
Yes, it was.
She pushed the table and, like, Sable fell too fast. And so she hit the mat and then the table hit her stomach. It was brutal.
So then Jacqueline broke the trophy over Sable's back. Marc Mero ran out. The Oddities ran out. Mero and Jacqueline ran away. And Giant Silva carried Sable away like the creature from the Black Lagoon. Val Venis did a backstage promo about his gauntlet match against Kaientai. He Says if he wins the gauntlet match, he beats all 4 guys, he gets 5 minutes with Yamaguchi-san. Here's everything I wrote about the next segment. Draws' world sucked.
I wrote no words. I wanted to not acknowledge it.
Followed by doors, run for your lives. So after Draws' world, we have Draws versus Bradshaw in a Brawl for All match. This was also a fun, terrible fight. This was a hockey fight in a wrestling ring.
This was like the opposite of the last fight. This was 2 guys who sucked, and therefore they had a good fight.
Yes.
Bradshaw is so terrible, but he made it this far. Although he did get eliminated, right? And then he got put back in, if I recall correctly.
I don't think so.
I thought he got eliminated.
But it's
anyway,
entirely possible.
it's his usual gimmick. He's got all the energy in the first round, then he's completely blown up. Draws got completely blown up. And long story short, Bradshaw won. I was so excited because we get to see Bart Gunn smash Bradshaw next week here on the
We
show.
do get that. Yeah. This is a brawl for, it's a shoot fight. It's 3 minutes, 180 seconds. And it was a close fight. The announcers didn't know who was going to win. Nothing happened in the last 20 seconds because these guys were so gassed. They just stood there throwing these lazy little jabs at each other until the fight ended. Al Snow was doing shots in a bar somewhere, whining about throwing 16 years down the tubes to be in the exact same space, and he yelled at Head for being drunk.
This was hideous. Do you hear me? Hideous.
Door update. The camera's on the ground. The door is sideways now.
Cool.
We cut to Sable storming through the backstage area, going from nowhere, going to nowhere, doing nothing.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about this. What the hell happened there?
Well, she was on her way to the ring.
I see. Dustin Rhodes told us, do not poison your minds with this product. Go read a good book instead.
He was right.
So
he was
badly.
right. God damn. I apologize. It's the wrong time to use that term, but he was fucking right.
Sable goes to the ring and calls Jacqueline a bitch. Jacqueline appears on the screen, calls Sable a hoe. Ah, Vince Russo. So Jacqueline and Mero challenge Sable to find a partner to face them at SummerSlam.
I could not even believe this. Jackie, she called her a hoe, and she also called her something else. I can't remember what it was, but she says, I'm not going to fight you tonight because Sable said, tell that bitch to get out here and we'll fight. Jackie says, we're not going to fight tonight, but because your goons will come out, she says. You're freaks. However, we'll be there at SummerSlam, me and my man, Marc Mero, and you can bring anybody you want for that fight. So then, 4 oddities storm into the heels locker room and proceed to beat their asses.
No.
That's the build to SummerSlam.
You're giving...
No, that's what happened.
They swarmed in, there was a wave of enormous bodies, and then we just cut to Michael Cole.
Well, no, I know that Luna attacked Jackie, and Golga got a hold of Mark.
Okay, you got more out of this
But
than I
then
did.
they scooted off screen. And
Yeah.
so maybe Giant Silva was eating, who even knows, Jackie as the segment ended.
Or it's just as likely that Mero and Jacqueline made their own comeback.
Point of all of this is the heels were at a major, major, major disadvantage.
Well, yeah.
This was so stupid.
If you could even tell what was going on. I was barely keeping track. So they cut away from the oddities doing whatever the fuck happened next to Michael Cole on TV saying, after 87 shots at this goddamn door, Michael Cole just says, The Undertaker is here. Steve Austin is looking for him.
And if he finds him, we'll let you know.
At this point, I wrote, this show is exhausting and feels 5 hours long. Val Venis versus Kaientai.
You know, Russo's whole thing used to be, you've got to do this crash TV because nobody cares about wrestling. And I'm sure when this match was over, he said, see, nobody cares about wrestling. You're right, a self-fulfilling prophecy. You gave an hour and a half of absolute, utter bullshit. And then you want to make us sit for 10 minutes through Val Venis versus all of Kaientai? No shit, nobody cared? How the fuck could you care about this? The match is men's Teo. It was fine for the 1 minute it lasted.
Yes.
Fisherman suplex. Funaki comes down, he's immediately power slammed off the top for a pin.
Setting his tone for the next decade.
Dick Togo comes out and they just do a bunch of moves and then money shot. And then Taka comes in. He's wearing a tank top, shorts, and combat boots. In there with Val Venis. They do a couple of cool things. Val misses a big elbow. Taka hits a Michinoku driver for the pin. I'm sure when it was over, Russo said, we just can't have long matches. And you know what? These little guys, they just can't get over. Not even recognizing what the problem with this fucking show was. It sucked.
Not just little guys, also foreign guys.
That's true.
Yes.
Both.
Okay.
And then Kaientai destroys Val. Mrs. Yamaguchi and Mr. Yamaguchi come down.
They're just back together now.
Yep. She slaps him. Val then clears the fucking ring with a pink penis-shaped super soaker that Lawler claims is filled with DNA.
It is spewing white liquid.
How the fuck did they not go out of business? How did they win this war?
I don't know.
I mean, I know how. The other show was even worse, but not tonight.
Yes, Val Venis cleared the ring via Bukkake. That is what happened. What else?
Nothing.
By the way, could there be a less, the least subtle joke of all time? We'll give him a penis that shoots sperm on people. That's the idea. The actual wrestling, what we saw of this was actually pretty good.
Dude, you're not watching Raw, but Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor are feuding. And a few weeks ago, Finn said, Bray's got a dark side. I've got a dark side too. And then they did a match on Raw, and when the match was over, what the hell did... Finn said something I can't even remember, but the dumbest fan could recognize that what he's talking about is, I'm going to show up as the Demon at SummerSlam. But they still, before the show ended, had to advertise the Demon Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt with a photograph of him in the Demon outfit.
Excellent.
Just in case you were so fucking stupid that you couldn't figure it out. There is no subtlety in this company.
No.
Including the penis-shaped super soaker that was shooting DNA, according to Jerry Lawler.
Now,
just in case you couldn't figure it out.
The president was back during this match too. It's not enough you have four matches in 10 minutes, but you have to have the president on the phone for more comedy. As he's ending, he's talking, the announcers are talking, and he says, "Thank you," but it very much sounded like "fuck you." And the announcers both thought he said "fuck you," and they shut up. And you could, in your mind's eye, you can see them looking at each other like, did he just say "fuck you"? That was the best part of this. Okay. Yeah. Then it's time for the 10-second main event, as Nitro claimed. Undertaker's music and light show hit, and somehow he made it to the ringside steps with nobody seeing him. We do not see his face, just the back of his giant robe. Austin, as promised, comes out to confront him, but then Kane's pyro goes off, and he removes his robe, and it's Undertaker's gear, but Kane's mask. And I'm looking at his arms thinking, those arms are tattooed. This is the Undertaker in Kane's mask. They have a brawl. They go to the limo, or the hearse. Austin throws this guy into the hearse, but he goes to the driver's seat, and Undertaker is already there. And Taker drives away with his brother in the back. So it was, in fact, Kane disguised as an Undertaker. I actually thought it was Undertaker disguised as Kane, disguised as Undertaker, but they took the time to put fake tattoos in his arms just to fool me, apparently. So, yeah, the point of all this is, I don't know.
This was the equivalent of that Nitro 3 weeks ago. This is one of the worst Raw shows I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Absolutely hideous.
There was at least, I seem to recall there was some good stuff on Nitro. Not sure there's anything good on Raw. In all seriousness, the only good stuff on Raw was the Owen Shamrock stuff, and the actual wrestling in the Val Venis match was good.
Yeah.
All right, Nitro.
I'm just going to be absolutely God honest about this, okay? Somebody needs to take this show off the fucking network. For the sake of every WWE wrestling fan. If somebody finds this show and decides to file a lawsuit, they don't got a leg to stand on.
Oh, yeah.
How many concussions do you think occurred during this Raw show?
Dozens.
I swear to God there had to have been a dozen concussions on this show. I'm positive. Like, it's impossible. It is impossible that everybody escaped the show injury-free. It's impossible. Who in their right mind, if this went to court, is going to side with anybody in their right mind saying, you know, when we did the show, we didn't think that this would hurt anybody. We didn't think it was bad to hit people as hard as we could in the head with chairs. The announcer is screaming at them to please stop. Was I watching a different show?
No,
How is this on the network?
That's how it
totally
went.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to lose millions of dollars someday because of shows like this. And as far as I know, like, let me tell you something. I remember when The Rock hit Mick Foley with like 12 chair shots while he was handcuffed. The big scandal. Everyone remember that?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember the Hell in a Cell on this show?
No.
I have no memory of it. Which tells me that between now and that Royal Rumble, there's probably about 17,000 concussions that occur on this Raw show. This was a criminal. I barely could finish this show. You know how many times I wanted to shut this show off that I was watching today?
All of them.
Repeatedly, every segment. It's a crime.
I lost count at like 12 chair shots to the head, unprotected.
Like, what's going on?
It was very clear to me a couple times in this Raw, and we've said this before, but it was just clear. They didn't give a shit if their wrestlers lived or died.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this show.
Raw was appalling, as you noted.
It was appalling.
A terrible show.
I don't have any other word to describe it except absolutely. And it wasn't just the chair shots. This was so badly booked, and they tried to kill everybody.
Yes.
This should be scrubbed from history if they know it's good for them.
We're discussing Retro Raw number 274, August 24th, 1998. Their new favorite thing. The two favorite things. Let's open with somebody walking around backstage, and there must be a door in all shots. A door opened, Taker walked through it, Kane walked with him.
You know, I didn't even notice this until Lance brought it up last week. But Kane and Undertaker are in cahoots.
What?
As it turns out, yes.
After all that, they're in cahoots.
Oh, I'll have more to say about that when we get to it.
I do not give a fuck, I might add, that we finally discovered they're in cahoots. I cared so little last week, I didn't even think about it till he brought it up to me. Did you note that they're in cahoots? No, I didn't. I hate this. I fucking hated this show.
It was awful.
I hated this show. It was so much worse than that Nitro that we watched like 3 weeks ago that I thought was the worst show I've ever seen.
Yes.
This was the worst television show I've ever seen.
It was impossibly
Like,
bad.
the booking on that Nitro was bad. This is the worst television show I've ever seen.
Huh.
So Taker and Kane walk through this door, walk right out there on stage, come down to the ring together. After all these weeks, this is the big reveal. They just come out together. They're on the same side now.
They're in cahoots.
They're in cahoots.
Did this win worst storyline of the year?
I think it's the worst storyline I've ever seen in my life.
It's got to be. It's got to be up there.
I was baffled as a young man. I am infuriated as an old man at how little sense any of this makes.
Vince McMahon was right from the very beginning. And he's the bad guy.
Exactly. Also true. Also true. Although, to be fair, I think Austin was right, too.
That's true.
But so Taker and Kane are standing there or walking down the ring. They're side by side, and Jim Ross says, "This is terrible news for Stone Cold Steve Austin." Why? It's still Austin versus Taker at SummerSlam. Kane's not in the match.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
It's not magically a handicap match now. You
Well-
can't magically interfere just because they're friends.
The point is now he could interfere because they're in cahoots.
Well, he could have interfered before.
Well, he could
or
have.
someone else could have.
But if they were enemies, he wouldn't have. But now that we know they're in cahoots, they could team up together to take out Austin. That at least fucking made sense, okay? The rest of this we can bury.
Wait a second. We speculated they were in cahoots. Why didn't they do it sooner?
Goddamn if I know.
They went through all the trouble of trading the tag titles back and forth between themselves just to confuse Steve Austin.
Right.
This is awful. So they're there. Before they can talk, Vince comes out and says, "I was right." And he's going off about how Taker, he explains, "Now that you have Kane by your side, you do not need my help to be WWF champion." And I ask again, what in the fuck does Kane have to do with it? He's already got his title match. His odds of winning the title have gone up 0%. It's exactly the same as they were last week, or the week before that, or the week before that.
No. If they're enemies, there's zero chance that Kane is going to help The Undertaker. If they're friends, there is a chance. This does make sense. It is worse for Austin that they're friends than that they're enemies.
They're not just friends. They're family.
They're in cahoots.
Then why don't they just have a referee enforce the rules?
I don't know about that shit. I'm just telling you. Did you watch this show? Okay. Vinny, hold on.
Yes.
Did you watch this show?
I did.
Okay. In how many fucking matches did somebody run in? Everyone? Okay, so then if they're
So it could have happened anyway where they're friends not.
If they're not friends, he's not going to run in.
Well, then here, let me ask you this one then.
Am I wrong, Craig?
You're both right in your own way.
Let me ask you this. If they have been in cahoots, why do they keep it a secret?
That's a good point, Vinny.
That I don't know.
Okay. We can agree on that one then.
Fine. Okay.
Okay.
Sweating.
Vince says, Taker, you will eventually need my help. Out comes a very sad-looking pallbearer. He begs and pleads Kane, don't leave me. I've loved you your whole life. Not like your mother, that sleazy whore.
Now, before he brought up the sleazy whore, I should mention that as he comes out, they note the cell is hanging above the ring.
Yeah.
If we didn't have enough shit going on in this segment, with more to come, by the way, they alert us the cell is above the ring.
Taker steps forward at this sleazy whore line because it's his mom too, but Kane stops him. Bearer pleads with Kane to destroy Taker. Instead, Kane turns his back. Taker destroys Paul Bearer. This plan went haywire. Mankind comes out. Taker and Kane both beat the hell out of him. Crowd loves this because at least it's some action. They kill Mankind with a spiked tombstone. This is to set up Kane and Mankind defending the tag team titles at SummerSlam. In 6 days. Vince is very happy. Out comes Steve Austin. He nearly gets cooked up by Kane's pyro. Cuts his promo anyway. He admits it's true. He says, "I do not have much of a chance against the two of you." But it's not the two of them. It's one. He's fighting one guy.
Did you not watch this show? There's no such thing as a singles match without somebody getting involved. At least they told that story here on this show.
Austin vows
like a robot here
to take one of them out tonight.
Cannot wrap his head around this concept.
No, you are correct.
That a guy
That's
can
true.
interfere in
I
the match.
cannot wrap my head around this show or this storyline. That's a fact. Austin says he'll take one of them out tonight, and he will beat Taker at SummerSlam. SummerSlam actually is a better name.
SummerSlum.
And it finally ends. Neither Taker nor Kane ever spoke here.
They stretch her Foley out.
Yeah.
That's a key for later.
It is. So, ever since Dan Severn showed up like 6 months ago, they pointed out this man is 1-1 against Ken Shamrock in the Ultimate Fighting Championships. Mm-hmm. Perhaps one day we will see them settle their rivalry here in the World Wrestling Federation.
We can only hope.
And here it is as a random Raw opener, not announced until they're in the ring. This fucking company.
So I got Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn. I know I've mentioned this before, but over Mania weekend, I saw Dan Severn and Matt Riddle. Dan Severn was, I believe, 58 years old in the match with Matt Riddle. This match was awesome. Why? Because you had two guys with an MMA background, and all they did was go in there and roll. They went in there and grappled, and they had a couple of spots. Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock, 19 years ago. They're 19 years younger. All they had to do was go in there and roll. Because there wasn't even a finish. Instead, they go in there and they do professional wrestling. Was this the worst match of all time?
It was up there.
It was not very good.
It was so bad.
They were trying to mix in pro-style chain wrestling with actual submission wrestling, and it did not work out.
Why couldn't they just do a fake, grappling match where they both went 80%? Why? We're already doing Brawl for All. We've already acknowledged they're in UFC.
Yeah.
Just let them go do it.
I don't know.
Instead, they're doing moves.
None of it matters because the finish was Owen Hart running out and attacking Shamrock for the DQ. Severn approved. He was fine with losing this match. And Owen put Shamrock in a dragon sleeper. And Steve Blackman ran down to make the save. The crowd loved the run-ins. Shamrock snapped. He attacked Blackman. Blackman defended. Wait.
He didn't attack Blackman.
Well,
He's screaming on the ropes, and Blackman's just trying to pull him away from the ropes.
right.
That's why he turned on him. And he gives him a big suplex, and then Blackman gives Shamrock a suplex. Is Ken Shamrock a babyface?
Yes.
No, he's not.
Oh, yeah.
How in the fuck could this guy possibly be a babyface?
I don't know.
He's a complete, irrational madman.
You're not wrong, but you see, he snapped. He was blind with rage, and Blackman was caught in the crossfire.
This was so bad.
I just like that Shamrock attacks Blackman, but still ends up getting laid out. And then he snaps a second time and chases some refs away. And all I could think was, Ken Shamrock, Geek of the Week in 1998?
Not this week.
No.
This week's the toughest week in history.
Really, anyway, I'll let you and Tom get through all that.
I don't know how.
God bless the two. You need a 4-hour show. Backstage, Mankind has laid the EMTs out and is pushing the stretcher around. They go to break. They come back. Mankind pushes the stretcher out, and clearly Foley at this point is giving zero fucks. He just surfs down the rampway down to ringside just because it's fun. He announces, "It was cahoots all along. I've been right about Kane all along." Points out there's a Hell in a Cell cage hanging above the ring. Challenges Kane to a cell match, knowing full well he's going to get his ass kicked. He outright says, "I will climb this cage and I will try to throw Kane off it. If that doesn't work, I will use thumbtacks." I was trying to figure out how he would use thumbtacks on the roof of Hell in a Cell. This seems like a poor plan.
You got to set him real gingerly.
One at a time?
Yeah.
So, we're supposed to believe that Vince McMahon had the foresight to know everything that was going to happen in the opening segment of the show, where 15 guys ran in, and thus ordered them to bring a cell to the building.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he was going to get Mankind to be able to challenge Kane in the cell later. That's what we're supposed to believe.
He's the puppet master.
Okay, this is bullshit.
It is.
I hate this show.
Had a highlight reel of the first, or the Mankind Undertaker Hell in a Cell match with clips of Mick Foley nearly dying several times. Sable comes out. She announces Kurgan and the Oddities, and they all come out and they dance together.
I know what we're all thinking right now. Has there ever been someone as hot as Sable that did a less sexy dance wearing that outfit?
You're on the right track.
No.
You're on the right track. My take on it was, has there ever been anyone more uncomfortable doing their job in history than Sable?
Well, that's up there too.
If you were to ask Sable after the segment, we need you to go out there and dance with the oddities again, or turn to McFoley and say, we need you to fall off the cell again, I think you'd have an easier time convincing Foley to fall off than convincing Sable to go dance with the oddities.
But
She
if
was
I put
so
it
miserable.
this way, imagine Sable in a black leather or latex or whatever it is catsuit with nothing on underneath, dancing. If I told you to imagine that, and then I said, you'll be embarrassed,
Yeah.
you'd be like, no, I won't. I'll love it. Wrong. You would be embarrassed watching this. I didn't think it was possible, but it was.
It was cringeworthy.
It was absolutely cringeworthy.
The only thing I can describe it as.
There's something very unsexy about a girl that has no rhythm.
I've seen her dance. She can be sexier than this.
Right.
This was a woman.
Well, I will defend her, actually. I will defend her slightly from Craig's claim right here. So, the Oddities actually had a theme song by ICP.
Right.
Okay.
They couldn't use that.
Okay.
On the network.
So they put another song in. So it is possible she does have rhythm to Fuck the World or whatever the song was from
Hello?
ICP.
What?
You
But
ever
instead,
heard that song?
dude, that's a great song. Do I got to play it right here?
No, please don't.
Oh man, it's the best.
I-
I fucking should have opened with it today.
It mentions The Rock.
It would have been very fitting.
I just thought it was weird that Sable would have that. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Sable was...
I mean, she was embarrassed.
Oh, yeah. I promise you, this was the worst moment of Sable's life. She's never been less happy than she was right there.
I think a couple of weeks ago when she first debuted with the Oddities, you might not have been here for that show. There was a week you were gone that Craig took over.
That was bad.
It was painful. The first week that she had to go out there and be their friend.
If I didn't know better, I don't remember all the backstage gossip what was going on in 1998. It's almost like a relationship ended and she was being punished on camera for it.
I don't know any details on that.
I don't either. So, Kurgan versus Marc Mero. Mero says, I'm coming out without Jacqueline. You should send the Oddities to the back. So he does. We get the worst 1-minute match of all time. Jacqueline runs through the crowd, attacks Sable. Mero hits a low blow for the DQ. The Oddities run out. Mero and Jacqueline flee through the crowd. I describe this as the absolute worst of pro wrestling television.
All I wrote was, can Russo please go to WCW soon?
I wrote this was pointless.
Like, get him in WCW so only one show is being ruined.
Xpac led a camera crew backstage to record him pissing into Jeff Jarrett's boots. Yeah. Okay, this next pile of shit.
Now we had the fakest thing on the whole show.
Maybe the worst, I don't know.
So, Hawk comes out to do commentary.
Oh, boy.
And he's pretending he's drunk. You've been drunk, Vinny.
Yeah. Recently.
I know Craig has as well.
Of course.
We're supposed to fucking believe that Hawk is going to keep quiet during the New Age Outlaws spiel.
Apparently.
When he's supposed to be drunk.
He was...
Get the fuck out of town.
He was so drunk he was talking over the announcers as they were reading the sponsorship things, which I'm sure made like Stridex and Skittles really happy.
I'm sure.
So then he starts ranting about no selling a Lawler pile driver in 1986. And Lawler says, Kizat his Mizike. Did that have to be Incarni? If he just had cut his mic, wouldn't it be clear why he was saying this? The New Age Outlaws come out. They do their shtick. Hawk is politely silent for this. The match begins. Now Jeff Jarrett's there.
Did you know that he was pissed off?
I heard.
He said this.
I read that somewhere.
1,000 fucking times.
Jarrett comes out in socks. He cuts a promo on a mic that is not working. He steals Hawk's headset. He demands Xpac come out. There was a match going on. Jarrett vows to beat Xpac at SummerSlam and shave him bald. I just wrote Jarrett as a one-word sentence there. So Jarrett's promo distracts the referee and his buddies in Southern Justice. Therefore, Billy Gunn is able to hit a pile driver and the Outlaws win. Jarrett screwed the hog farmers here.
Not only did he screw his buddies, he didn't care one bit.
In fact...
He said, now that this fucking match is over, can we
Yes.
get Xpac out here?
Yes. Then he attacks a cameraman. Southern Justice help him shave the guy's head. Awful TV, I wrote. Awful, awful, awful.
Vinny, I'm sure you remember this. It's like PTSD. When I shaved your head in the hair match.
I was there.
Fucking Phineas. How many times have I said fuck during the show? We should do it like over under. Like, did I say fuck more than number of concussions on this show? That's my big question. They're trying to shave this cameraman's head, which is not easy. And Phineas is kicking the guy in the head as Jarrett's trying to shave his goddamn head. The show was the worst. And it was only about to peak.
If somebody who was shaving your head, you would not act as badly as this cameraman. I did not believe he was getting his head shaved.
I believed he was getting his head shaved and someone was kicking him in the damn head while it was happening. No wonder he was freaking out.
Kane versus Mankind in a Hell in a Cell match for no good goddamn reason.
No build.
Kane and Taker come out together. Mankind comes out alone. He tries to climb the cage. The refs stop him. He punches them out. He slams Kane's head in the door. He goes around the other side of the cage. He tries and fails a few times to throw a chair up on top of the cage. It bounces down, apparently takes out Lawler, Owen Point. Mm-hmm. Mankind tries to climb. Taker pulls him down and he goes to a table.
Stop right there. So, that Undertaker-Mankind cell match, I mean, it wasn't a really very good match at all, but the guy fell off the cage twice, and those are legendary spots now. Shane McMahon and Undertaker, not a very good match, but Shane fell off the top. It's legendary now.
Right.
At least all of those spots were, like, built to, and it was like the thing you were supposed to remember.
Right.
the fall off the cage that Vinny was half asleep recapping, that is the exact same bump that Shawn Michaels took off the cell.
You're absolutely right.
It was in the exact same spot. It was through the exact same table. Is there anybody listening to this right now? I don't care if you were one when the first Hell in a Cell happened. Is there anybody who does not remember Shawn Michaels falling off that cell? Everybody does. Is there anyone on the earth that remembers Mankind falling off this cell here? I'll tell you right now, the answer is no.
Including Mankind.
They did a bump off the cell. They did a bump face first into thumbtacks. They did a bump ass first into thumbtacks from Kane. Every one of these spots just was out of nowhere. Like they're just doing something, a big spot happens, and then they go do something else. That's what was so infuriating about this. They killed each other. It was absolutely, completely forgettable. And they just kept killing each other.
Yeah.
You didn't even mention the half dozen times they hit each other in the head with chairs.
Oh, we'll get to that.
To the point where both men, even though both men wear protective leather masks, they were still bleeding profusely from the head.
Yep.
So the long and the short of it is, after all this carnage, Kane hits a chokeslam and a tombstone. He does not make the cover. He looks at Taker. Taker gives him the throat slash gesture. So Kane hits Mankind in the head with a chair more. And then Steve Austin is in the ring. And the referee calls for the bell because you see this Hell in a Cell match has ended in a disqualification.
Yep.
I would like to muster rage.
Why bother?
I'm defeated. I just give up. I'm so sad this company won the war.
It's incredible.
There were no winners in the Monday Night Wars. There's only a survivor.
Everyone keeps saying it gets better, but I can't even fathom it.
They booked a Hell in a Cell match. Here, you know why it really...
With no build.
For free. For no reason.
On television.
Yes.
At the top of the second hour.
That's right. It wasn't even the main event.
This was not even the main event. In fact, at this point in the show, there was no main event.
That's right.
We're supposed to believe that this was put in the... Actually, we're supposed to believe this match wasn't even on the card. Or the main event. We're supposed to believe the show was put together and Brawl for All was like the final match on the show.
You know, if you got to the arena and you saw the Hell in the Cell hanging there and they just didn't do a Hell in the Cell, I'd be upset.
Fuck, I wouldn't be, given what they gave us.
We haven't even touched on the worst part of this finish. It's Mankind. It's not like it was Goldberg in there with a streak or Austin in there with a championship. Mankind's lost plenty of times.
Sure.
He could have been pinned here. But no. We must do a disqualification inside Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, we had another run-in inside a cage. Did you even count the number of run-ins on this show?
Are you kidding me?
You would be ridiculous.
And disqualifications. By the way, one other thing we didn't touch on. Kane took it upon himself. Kane says, you know what? People look at me as a big, clumsy guy. I'm going to show them what kind of nimble athlete I am. I'm going to do a running plancha in this match. In a cell! So he flies through the air, he waffles Mankind. Mankind has nowhere to go because there's a cage behind him. So Mankind's head is driven into the cage by a 300-pound flying man. The stupidity up and down throughout this program.
Yeah, he was taking the bump and he hit his head on the way down on the cage.
Yeah.
And yes, as noted, there were 8,000 chair shots to the head in this match. Kane murdered Mick Foley with the chair shot, hit him with 2 more chair shots. We had Austin coming in. I believe he killed Kane with a chair shot, but we didn't even see it because there was so much shit going on. That's 4. That's minimum. I may not have counted some of them. Minimum 4 baseball swinging like a baseball bat, chair shots to a fucking guy's head in this match alone.
That's only on Foley, dude.
No Kane.
Kane
took several.
I'm saying there's only 4 on Foley. There was at least Mankind got hit at least 5 to 6 times in this show alone.
So Austin's in there beating up Kane, chairing him in the head repeatedly, as we noted. Taker's trying to save his brother. The door is locked, can't get in that way. Tries to climb the cage will give in. So Taker goes to the top of the cage. He begins to stomp a hole in the roof. His leg is coming through the ceiling, dangling above the ring. At this point, they cut to the stage area where Vince McMahon pushes a button and the cell begins to raise.
Right.
Did I mention the Undertaker is dangling through the roof of this thing by now?
Yeah, he's halfway through a hole in the cage.
Were they trying to murder somebody? I was appalled watching this.
By the way,
it is
why
absolutely appalling.
Why would Vince McMahon do that? He wants the title off Austin.
Well, they explained, which, actually, as I'm thinking about this right now, I'm getting filled with rage. The storyline is Vince wanted them to wait until SummerSlam. Now, I say that knowing that the fucking main event of the show was The Undertaker versus Steve Austin. Did I mention this is the worst show I've ever seen in my life?
It was terrible.
It's the worst show I've ever seen in my life. There's no 3-hour Raw that is worse than this show. It's atrocious.
And we're only halfway through. So they go to break. They come back. Taker and Kane are in the ring. They had to lower the cell so Undertaker could escape, quote-unquote, safely. He has survived. He's in the ring. The cell is now being raised again. Taker's cutting a promo. Says Austin is a coward. He promises Austin will meet his destiny tonight. And he stops. And that was when I realized that this was not, in fact, the main event of the show. And it was only 1 hour old. Mm-hmm. I was exhausted. It was the first thing I did today. I want to go back to bed. I was just tired.
Taker got completely lost in this promo.
He probably got a concussion in there, too.
He may have, dude.
Very possible.
Oh, my God. And then this next segment.
This was not good either.
Chyna comes down to the ring. We have been told all night Chyna's going to call out The Rock.
Boy, did they make her up tonight. She was supposed to be normally she's like kind of I don't know what she's supposed to be, but they never really push her as like a glamorous woman.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But the storyline here, and I'm not making this up, storyline here is the nation is going to gang rape Chyna.
Yep.
So in order to get sympathy, they put her in a shirt where her boobs just like stuck out two yards.
Oh my gosh.
They put so much makeup on her. Mm-hmm. She comes down here. They're telling us, they're trying to convince us that they're going to do a match. The Rock versus Chyna.
Yeah.
Right. I bet you they didn't bury her at sea. She would have floated.
What? I see.
That's great, Craig. So Chyna's in the ring. The nation comes out. They all have their weapons and stuff. Rock says, Chyna wants to call me out, and here I am, but I know this whole thing is a trap. I know DX thought I would come out here and they'd tear up my $500 shirt, but I am too smart for that. And up on the big screen, he has them show what's going on backstage, where DX is trapped in their locker room because the nation parked a forklift outside. The heels outsmarted the babyfaces and left them looking like bumbling fools. Now Chyna's trapped in the ring. She can't leave. Rock begins to taunt her, says that she wants him. She's tense and frustrated, but she wants a piece of the Rock. She charges, and D'Lo and Owen grab her. And then, yes, Rock cuts a promo saying he's gonna give her what he wants, or give her what she wants. He's about to kiss her, but then he changes his mind.
Oh, hold on. Before we even get to that, they drop her down to her knees. Mm-hmm. They're holding on to her arms. They're scrunching up her face. Rock is talking about how you look so comfortable there on your knees. He's gonna give her a kiss, rape her, but then he decides instead of raping her, I'm gonna humiliate her and talk about how horrific she is. Can't remember what he said. Like, I'd never kissed someone as horrifying as you or
Piece
something
of
like
trash.
that. Piece of trash. Then he says, Mark Henry, you're going to kiss her. And Mark is licking his lips as she's on her knees, crying. He's about to go molest her. When who should come out to make the save but Shawn Michaels?
Now, before you get into this, do you remember, Brian, on the Retro NWA shows, probably it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, when Jimmy Garvin lost to Ric Flair, which meant his wife, Precious, had to go on a dream date with Ric Flair. And after this match, but before the date, Jimmy was cutting a promo, and they cut it on Precious's face. Now, Precious was... I mean, she was his wife in storyline in real life, but her character on TV was just a valet. She perfumed the ring. She helped him remove his sequined ring gear. She clapped when he won. That was the extent of it. But when the storyline called for her to be, in storyline, she was a trophy that was won or lost in a match. But when Jimmy was cutting this promo after the match and they zoomed in on her facial expressions made it clear that she was not a victim and she was pissed off and there was going to be hell to pay.
Right.
Chyna, meanwhile, for 2 years she's been in the show. She's the 9th wonder of the world. She's been hitting, destroying, slamming men left and right. She's never shown weakness before. Maybe like one stunner in there or something, but she's been a powerful force. Now it's time for her to play the victim. She's on the verge of tears. She's helpless. She's weak. She is displayed as someone who needs to be rescued, and is on the verge of being, as you noted, gang raped, metaphorically, thank God. So that's just one.
Metaphorically?
Well, their penises weren't out.
Well, not yet, but
That's fair.
did you fucking watch this segment?
Yeah,
Well, they're not going to do it in the ring.
fair enough.
Dude's cock almost got chopped off last week.
That wasn't in the ring, Brian.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm not defending it. So Shawn Michaels does make the save, which means it's time for somebody else to get hit in the head with a chair. It's poor Mark Henry, who was just out there.
Dude, well, I will say, like, of everyone swinging a chair on the show,
Thank you.
Shawn was the one guy not trying to kill somebody.
He actually pulled it back.
Yeah.
Didn't murder him with it.
He passed the chair to China. He danced to the announce desk, and that was that.
That was
And
uncomfortable.
then, so DX was locked in a room by a forklift.
Yeah.
They go to commercial. How long is a commercial? 2 minutes?
Yes.
Come back, they're out.
Yeah.
Somebody moved the forklift. Perhaps Shawn Michaels.
Or any other person backstage saying, hey, you guys need to move this forklift?
Maybe something needed to be moved, so the guy got the forklift.
Val Venis versus Taka Michinoku.
You'll never guess what happened in this match.
Nothing.
But no, a guy ran in for the disqualification, and he fucking hit somebody in the head as hard as he could with a goddamn chair.
Fact.
I'm not making any of this up.
Nope.
Hunter runs in. He waffles Val. He just obliterates Taka Michinoku with the chair shot to the head.
In the back of the head.
Cuts a promo. You'll never guess what he said to The Rock. You'll be my bitch at SummerSlam.
Did you mention here that on commentary, Jim Ross asked Shawn Michaels why he had helped China?
Yeah.
Yeah. How dare he?
Shawn looked at this man like he was the biggest idiot in all the world and said, well, she needed help, so I saved her.
Well, Jerry wasn't getting out behind the desk. Come
Clearly
on
not. Xpac versus Gangrel. Not laughing at them. So Edge is watching from the crowd again, although you can barely see him because there's so many signs in the way. Yep. Twitch Shawn Michaels notes. I'm going to do my best Shawn impression here. He's a troubled soul, that Edge. Troubled soul.
That's a horrible Shawn Michaels.
Well, it was.
That was so bad. I was actually
was
looking
not
forward to a
good.
low gravelly voice, and instead I
Well, I was not going so much.
hey, everybody, it's terrible.
I was not so much the gravelly voice as just his. He didn't give a shit about Edge being a troubled soul. He thought it was stupid. He's making it very clear that it was stupid about this troubled soul.
I did love that it's Xpac versus Gangrel, and for like the second or third week in a row, Edge is watching, and Jim Ross of all people goes, you know, maybe Edge has his eyes on Xpac.
This is not Ross's best night.
Sure.
Well, you know, I mean, to be fair, we didn't know. He could be right.
So, Brian.
Well, in case you're wondering what happened in this fucking match, the answer is somebody ran in.
Do a shot.
And then waffled a guy in the head, but this time it was with a guitar.
Do a shot.
He hit Xbox so hard with this guitar. I understand the guitar is gimmicked and everything like that, but China comes down afterwards. Xbox still hasn't gotten up yet. She's like trying to surgically remove the guitar from the guy's head.
Gingerly. It was an awesome spectacle. I mean, the visual of Xpac laying in the middle of the ring with a guitar literally wrapped around his head was kind of cool.
Remember the old days when they just make a fake guitar and put like a bunch of flour in it?
Yes.
So you could kind of barely hit a guy in flour. Like,
Hold on.
I played the fucking guitar. What's flour doing? I know what you're thinking, Craig.
Yeah.
But really, you store that much in a goddamn guitar?
Well.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Give it somewhere.
But it's better than taking a guitar and just hitting the guy as hard as you can and concussing him.
Only when New Jack was using it.
So, Hunter and China chase Jarrett away. They are helping Xpac out of the ring. When Edge hits the ring and attacks Gangrel, eventually he leaves and Gangrel laughs.
May I?
Please.
Bart Gunn versus Bradshaw.
This was glorious.
Okay, I'll tell you what didn't happen in this match. Nobody ran in, okay?
No.
But,
You didn't like this?
no, I'm gonna get, that's my point.
Okay.
I've mentioned this before. Professional wrestling. If there's any children listening, please shut the show off right now. Professional wrestling is fake. Right?
Hold on. I almost dropped the mic.
It's fake.
What?
Okay?
Craig was pretending to drop the mic.
The referees are pro wrestling referees.
Uh-huh.
Brawl for All is real.
Yes.
Sure.
So they're using a guy who referees fake matches
Right.
to referee a real fight.
Correct.
100% correct.
I fucking talked about how this was a stupid idea.
Oh, wait, it's obvious. Then.
They go in here. The match starts. Bart fucking knocks this guy's head off 20 seconds in.
Yep.
Bradshaw's down. I thought he was dead.
Yep.
I thought, my God, I forgot it ended in 20 seconds. But then, like, Bart's standing there still ready to go. And the next thing I know, Bradshaw's stumbling to his feet, and the referee is asking him if he's okay.
Uh-huh.
Now listen, he gives the guy a standing 8 count. They're zoomed right in on Bradshaw's face. This fucking Bradshaw, where does he live now?
Texas?
The Bahamas?
The Caribbean somewhere.
Okay, he was in the Bahamas at this moment.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't know where he was. He can't focus on anything. He's out.
Totally.
The referee goes, "Hey, are you okay?" Bradshaw doesn't even answer. He's just like looking off at the Lord. And then he just goes,
Going home.
He's halfway there.
"Yeah." And so the ref goes, "Let's go." And he fucking lets him go back out.
Yes, he did.
Bradshaw goes back out and is immediately, he is executed.
Yes.
He is killed. He is dead. And Bart wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck was going on
you.
in the middle of 1998 in
There was
WWF?
A deliberate attempt to kill off their entire roster.
It's a miracle Bradshaw does not need assistance cleaning himself after he uses the restroom right now.
I could not believe my eyes. Like, if this would happen on a UFC show,
Oh, my God.
this would have been, they'd have been shut down.
It would have been Mizugaki.
Oh my God. Any of these.
I'm kidding. Settle down.
Yeah, no, you're right. Before the execution at the end, whenever there's a slugfest, a great slugfest in a mixed martial arts fight, everyone says it's Fry Takayama all over again. The 20 seconds this went before the execution was 2 Takeyamas, and then the slightly younger, slightly faster Takayama knocked out the taller, slower one. Let's see, what else is in here? You had Shawn Michaels saying, "These guys are tough. I'm no tough guy," he says, but these guys are. Always good to hear the multiple world champion say he's no tough guy.
That's right.
So it's finally over. Brawl for All is done, never to be seen again, thank the Lord. And the cherry on top of the sundae is Bart's going up the ramp. People are cheering. He did win the damn thing. And you think Bart came out of nowhere. He laid out a bunch of big scary men. He came out on top. He won the day. The announcers are just going crazy. He's opened the door. I can't wait to see where his career goes from here.
Oh, boy.
Whispers.
Because as I said last week, it's McGregor Mayweather all over again. They thought, man, this guy's going to kill that butterbean. This fat gimmick boxer.
We'll see. I don't remember it vividly. I don't think Bart's on TV again for weeks. I think the payoff for this is they wait till Mania and book him in a fight to lose.
Well,
We'll
they thought
see.
he was going to win is my point.
But they didn't do anything with him between the two.
I know.
They have
I know.
8 months,
Don't
whatever
look
it
at
is.
me, dude. Don't look at me.
They gave...
My big question,
okay.
please. The last 19 years of JBL stories, is it all overcompensating because of this fucking night?
Maybe.
That's actually possible too.
Dude.
The winner got 50,000.
No, 25.
25. No, the winner.
The winner got 75, loser got 25.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's not a bad payday. Of course, I wouldn't want to get knocked out to do it.
I've often seen like multi-million-dollar boxing payoffs and said, yes, I'll take brain damage for that. That's fine.
Sure.
No, $25,000? No. Not worth the knockout Bradshaw.
That's not getting me through half a year.
No.
No.
It barely got you through that sentence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out to the people.
Michael Cole interviewed Vince McMahon backstage.
Barely got me out of Sapphire.
Excuse me?
I'm just kidding.
What is
The club. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dusty's valet, which was gross.
Either way, it's going to be a great story. We'll talk when the
I
show's
had
over.
no idea she was dancing there.
That's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah. Still wear the polka dots?
Michael Cole interviews Vince McMahon backstage. Vince promises he will get the answer he wants from The Undertaker by the end of the night.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even mention. If you're sick of cahoots,
Yeah.
welcome to Friend or Foe. How many times did we hear that fucking phrase on this show?
So we talked earlier.
I was going to say it's Cahoots version 2.
Yeah. Well, now it's...
Isn't that the same? Cahoots and Friend or Foe?
Yes, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Couldn't you have just asked, are we in cahoots?
Now, do you remember, Brian, earlier in the show, you asked the question, how did Vince McMahon know all this was going to happen and he would need a cell conveniently hanging above the ring? The Undertaker, as he travels the country as a pro wrestling superstar, apparently ships around giant caskets, just in case they are needed for show closing angles. He was pushing this thing around earlier before the Brawl for All fight. So Druids bring the giant casket down to the ring.
Worst Druids ever, by the way.
Dude, this is just so absolutely moronic what we're about to see.
Lawler is sure to note these Druids are very big and they're struggling to carry this casket down to the ring.
They were struggling to stay in their outfits, some of them. They were large men.
I'm happy it didn't look that close. So Taker comes out. He cuts a promo. He promises Kane will not interfere at SummerSlam, rendering the last month of TV a giant waste of time. He is rambling on. Vince comes out. He demands to know, friend or foe. He offers a handshake. Taker chokeslams him instead. This is Austin's cue to pop out of the casket.
Excuse me, Steve Austin came out of the casket?
Right.
That's correct.
So tonight, his role at the show has been to just hide places. He was under the ring. Now he was in the casket.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got nothing better to do than fucking hide and seek.
Hold that thought.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I will. Oh, fear not.
Steve Austin pops out of the casket. He buries Vince for getting chokeslammed. He confronts Taker, but then before he lands a finger on Taker, Kane also pops out of the casket.
Yeah.
Kane and Steve Austin in storyline were in the casket together and
Right.
didn't know it.
Austin didn't.
Well, maybe Kane was holding on
We
to
don't
the
know
lid.
if Kane knew it.
We don't know.
I mean, if Austin didn't know it, how do we know Kane knew
Well,
it?
here is my impression of how this went down. As ridiculous
I'd love to hear it.
as ridiculous as this sounds, it's the only way I can think of that had this making any sense. Undertaker knew Austin was going to try to take him out.
Uh-huh.
So he got a plan.
Sure.
He said, Kane, come here. I've got this giant casket. It's got a false bottom.
Okay.
You get in the bottom, we'll close that part, then we'll leave it lying around, and Austin will find it, and he'll climb in there to try and surprise me. But then when he tries to surprise me, you jump out and surprise him.
I mean, that's all well and good, but I think it's more likely that Kane was getting in the casket, but he was on his belly.
Uh-huh.
And since the inside of the casket was red,
Right.
Steve Austin ran in, opened the casket, and Kane blended in.
He was camouflaged.
And so Austin just jumped on him,
Yeah.
and he didn't know that he was on Kane.
He didn't
the
realize
whole
that
way down
Kane's
to the
body
ring.
was not flat and velvety.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not like he's ever been in a casket. Gosh, these aren't as comfortable as I would think.
They're uncomfortable here.
I think no respect for the dead. Couldn't put a cushion down here. So,
No, go ahead.
so Kane beats up Austin, and Taker's also there. Austin finally flees. He grabs a chair, walks up the ramp. Flames shoot up through the metal, which causes Shawn Michaels, again completely unimpressed, to say, "Hey, fire! Look at that." Austin and Taker stare at each other as the go-home segment for SummerSlam.
This pay-per-view apparently did like a huge number.
Sure.
How the fuck? I mean, I know how. It was Steve Austin versus The Undertaker.
Yeah.
I mean, those two guys wrestling, that's a big match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, oh man,
This is
how?
I don't know. And then my new most hated thing in all the world, extra attitude.
I didn't even watch it.
It's,
I didn't watch it.
I don't know why I do. They're only like 2 minutes, but it's 2 minutes that sends me into a blind rage. Austin goes.
I wish there was an option for less attitude.
Right.
Like the show's only 5 minutes.
Austin goes down to ringside. Kane leaves the ring. Austin goes back up the ramp and he leaves. Then the Stooges are there. Austin beats them up. Taker chokeslams one of them, and that's it. Why?
He's really dumb.
Somebody
I don't know.
had to take the time to take that clip and re-edit it back onto the end of Raw. It probably took 2 minutes, but they had something better to do with it.
You know,
horrible TV show.
I'm going to leave the man's name out of it, but in this room, we all know who this is. But this man was at a Portland show, Raw, when Austin was at his height. And, the cameras kept rolling, as they do. And this friend of ours took the VCR tape out of one of the VCRs backstage that was recording the show.
Okay.
It showed Austin having a beer bash, but he went a little overboard and was visibly snockered.
All right.
And at one point, tripping up the ramp and taking out a Sharpie, signing a beer can, and handing it to, probably a 10-year-old boy.
Sure.
Yeah. He was drunk.
That sounds better than what we saw.
Yeah.
Much.
Cool story, bro.
I guess you had to have seen it.
I would have had to have seen it. Nitro.
We'll never stop if we don't start. Raw number 275, September 5th, 1998. It showed still shots from SummerSlam of Steve Austin defeating Undertaker to retain his championship. Do you remember, Brian? For the past 6 weeks now, we have been reviewing Raws with one of the worst storylines of all time, the Undertaker-Kane cahoots angle.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And the whole point was, when it was revealed Taker and Kane were in fact in cahoots, Austin was fucked because he couldn't beat them both.
Yes.
So here's the payoff, everyone. Taker and Austin are having a match. Kane comes out to interfere. Taker says, no, go away. And Taker wrestles Austin cleanly. He loses cleanly. He presents him with a championship belt afterwards. What in the fuck did I waste my time for?
Sounds like a fucking terrible payoff right there.
Oh my God. I knew it happened, and still watching this highlight reel, I was still angry. So, as noted, this was a Saturday night show. Vince comes out for a promo full of glee and joy. Mirth, even. And I was confused because Austin was still champ. You'd think he'd be upset, but he had a plan. An ingenious plan, a brilliant plan, he said. It would all lead up to September 27th. This brilliant plan would unfold. He guaranteed that Steve Austin would not be champion after that date.
That's right. This was the beginning of the Vince McMahon guarantee gimmick.
That was the first one?
Well, it sounded like. I don't remember him guaranteeing anything before.
He guaranteed something catastrophic with one of the Dude Love matches, and the catastrophe was he got hit with a chair?
Well, there was a guarantee of a catastrophe in the Inferno match, and the catastrophe was that Kane got his arm lit on fire.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he stops talking about Austin, and he turns to Taker and Kane and begins to insult the hell out of them. Says Taker is a fool for refusing Kane's interference at the pay-per-view. Talks about Austin going on Regis and Kathy Lee and talking about how much he respects Taker. As silly as this must be, he was rambling on for a long time. Then he got crude, for lack of a better word.
Hold on. Before he gets crude. Mm-hmm. So he's running down Kane and The Undertaker. The fans obviously don't like Vince McMahon. The fans begin to chant asshole at Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon looks at the crowd. He's got a look of disgust on his face. And he says, classy. Like, I'm so disgusted in you fans for saying the word asshole. You're so not classy. He's being sarcastic. But he says classy.
Yes.
And then the very next thing he says, which, by the way, you can't script the fans to chant asshole. So, this was another example of the Lord was watching this show, and he thought of something really funny.
The Lord had a script.
That's right. He got the fans to chant asshole, which perfectly plays into Vince's next line.
Because you see, after chastising the fans for lack of class and calling him an asshole, Vince then called Kane, this is his word, don't get mad at me, retarded.
No, you've got it wrong. I mean, he did do that, but this is not, my setup was for a different moment.
I see.
He did, in fact, call Kane Undertaker's, quote, retarded brother.
Yeah.
And the way he said it, I kind of feel like that wasn't scripted, and once he said it, he realized he shouldn't have said it because he kind of tried to get away from it quickly, but he did say it. The classy part was, the fans are chanting asshole, Vince says, classy, and the very next thing he says is that Undertaker and Kane have been relegated to nothing but 2 putrid pussies.
Yes.
The fans who, I mean, they were chanting asshole, but they weren't that into the segment there. Mm-hmm. When he said 2 putrid pussies, they fucking lost it. So much that Vince said it again, and they went even more crazy.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, this was bleeped. Although there were other things on this show that were bleeped at the time of the show, but weren't bleeped on the WWE Network. This one, however, was bleeped.
It was. So yes, this line was certainly scripted because he did repeat it a few times. And I guess it achieved the goal of pissing off Taker and Kane because they came out to kill him. And Vince, who had been cocky, arrogant heel throughout this entire segment, as soon as he saw these monsters, I promise you've never seen Vince McMahon move so fast as he did to get out of that ring and through the crowd to flee for safety.
He got the hell out of there.
Taker and Kane followed him, and they went to commercial. DOA versus Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman. You know, we watch these old shows, and sometimes it can't be helped, but you just see a gimmick and think, wow, that's dated. Paul Ellering has a shirt on the front it reads, "The Web Rules, Y2K."
Yeah.
On the back it says, "The Net Rules, Y2K." He comes down in this t-shirt, and once he gets to ringside, then he puts a jacket on, and the jacket on the back reads, Mr.com. Like, there is a snapshot in human history when this would have been relevant. It was like on this day in September of 1998. Anything before that, it would have been too futuristic. Anything after that would have been dated.
Well, you know, it's, Chris Jericho's still Y2J after all these years.
That at least is a something he did that was a takeoff of something that was timely.
That's true.
This is just, I am referencing Y2K.
Yeah. Years before it happened, he was ahead of his time.
Yes.
He was planning 2 years in advance for the end of the world.
He did a match for a minute or two, and then Taker and Kane hit the ring. They destroyed Steve Blackman. DOA is just beating up Shamrock on the floor. Taker and Kane chokeslammed Blackman, and then Taker locked in a knee bar. Already getting that...
knee bar.
Already getting that MMA gimmick over.
I mean, can you imagine you've got Undertaker and Kane, whose gimmick is that they're dead. You've got Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman, who are shooters. And Undertaker's the guy that gets in the ring and applies a knee bar to Steve Blackman.
Well, yes.
This is so bizarre.
You're right. It's even funnier. They did the chokeslam first.
Oh yeah.
So if you're average Raw wrestling fan in 1998, you're watching this. You watch Kane hit his finish, and Undertaker follows with a rest hold. It was very strange. So they destroy Blackman, leave him lying. DOA starts to leave. Taker and Kane stalk after them, and Shamrock is of course upset.
So I hate to get ahead of ourselves here, but I mean, Undertaker and Kane return every single segment here on this show.
They made like 8 appearances.
Is there no security? Is this part of Vince McMahon's plan? Like, Undertaker and Kane need to be unleashed, and it doesn't matter if his entire show is ruined and all of his wrestlers are killed, as long as these guys are unleashed.
I guess.
There was no Steve Austin on this entire show.
No. Steve didn't make the trip to Saturday.
No.
Somebody took a camera into the bathroom to film 2 people's feet as they were apparently having sex in a bathroom stall. Welcome to the Attitude Era. We had clips from SummerSlam of Vince convincing Mankind to fight the New Age Outlaws by himself. He lost the match. The New Age Outlaws won the tag team titles, and Kane then appeared magically to hit Mankind in the head with a sledgehammer. Val Venis versus Vader.
Said that Vader had lost 50 pounds, which I guess is why he's been out dancing of late. He's showing off his brand new physique.
I guess so. I just want to say that I, Vince Verhey, vow to validate my vocabulary by verbalizing Val Venis versus Vader over and over.
Wow. Do you know that when this match first started, the first thing they cut to is Dustin Runnels in the crowd with a big sign that says he's coming back?
There must be 900 things going on at once.
There's like... They can't just have nothing happen on this show. Like, Multiple things have to happen in every single solitary segment.
Yes. So Dustin's got a sign. They're doing this match. It's a fun match that zero people care about. And then Bradshaw hits the ring and gets in Taker's face, or gets in Vader's face. This is not a DQ. Taker and Kane return. Bradshaw flees, and Vader and Val stood valiant but took a violent beating as a result.
Wow, that was a lot of V's right there, Vinny.
I had to do something to entertain myself.
You did. Now listen, this is like, I mean, it's already been happening. It still happens to this day. This is one of those, they are training the fans to not give a shit about the wrestling.
Yes.
Which later, Vince Russo is going to use as a self-fulfilling prophecy to claim that nobody gives a shit about the wrestling. We got to do more of this bullshit during the matches. They can't just let a wrestling match occur. They've got to show you that the important stuff is the stuff that doesn't involve wrestling.
Right.
And so what they're doing is they're creating a scenario where if it's just wrestling, even if it's good wrestling, if it's not a bunch of superstars, then nobody cares about it one bit. And my God, on a show that's 2 hours of wrestling, it's brutal. It's brutality.
Yeah. We had Rock and Mark Henry versus the New Age Outlaws.
And by the way, Kane and first Bradshaw hit the ring as noted, then Undertaker and Kane, and they're running wild and everything like that. Val Venis was completely squashed in this match before these guys ran in. Like, all he did was sell and sell and sell and kick out of moves. It wasn't like he even started a comeback before these guys ran in. He was a total jobber to Vader in this match.
That is a fact.
This was shit. That's what this was. I'm not mincing my words here.
No. So Rock and Mark Henry versus the New Age Outlaws. Before the match, we had a Rock promo backstage that was awesome, and then a New Age Outlaws backstage promo that was not quite as awesome as the Rock's, but still very, very good. I just watched these, and there was like 30 seconds each, maybe a little longer, but they were so good and made me so interested in the match, and promos like this do not exist anymore. Anywhere. The art of the quick promo to hype a match is dead.
Yeah, because you have to have a well scripted promo that you got to read slowly, looking at another person or off screen.
Yes.
It's so robotic.
So they're doing the match, and for what they did for while they were out there was a pretty good tag match. They idiot-proofed Mark Henry. They kept him on the apron the whole time. When he tagged in, he did clever and forearms, or a body slam, or a splash. The stuff that's impossible to fuck up. Billy makes his comeback, and a four-way breaks out. And then Chyna runs out and double legs Mark Henry for the DQ. This is our third match with 0 finishes so far.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, the fans hated The Rock. They're chanting Rocky sucks. But then he goes for the people's elbow, and they love it.
Of course.
It's exactly like today. Nothing has changed in 19 years. Beat on the road dog forever. And yeah, Chyna ran in. And at first I was furious because I was like, what the fuck is she doing here and why? Besides the obvious, we have to have a screw job finish. But then she licked her lips and blew Mark Henry a kiss. And I was reminded that last week she was completely humiliated. Yeah. And this was at least playing off something that happened last week.
She was trying to get at Mark after the match. The Outlaws, who are two very big men themselves, had to fight like hell to hold her back. For what they were trying to do, it was very effective. Tiger Ali Singh came out to pay an American to do something gross. He said Babu had been eating sardines for a week. He was going to pay a woman $500 to French kiss him. So they found a woman. I forget where this was taped, but they found a woman who comes to the crowd, and she is wearing a very flimsy but very tight tank top and no bra.
I'm pretty sure this was a plant.
I suspect so.
Yeah.
I have seen Playboy centerfolds where the nipples were not so obvious.
Yeah.
And in fact, now that I think about it, this show did have the sexual content warning at the front, and this is the only thing I can think of that would be why.
Well, little did you know, I'm going to tell you what happened, and then I'm going to tell you what really happened. So they bring her to the ring. They say that she's going to make out with Babu, who allegedly has been eating sardines for a week now. She goes in there. She starts kissing the guy. Tiger Ali Singh's gimmick is she has to do it for 5 seconds. And, of course, he goes, 1, 2. Hey, everybody, you're making too much noise. Can you quiet down? So he just takes forever, obviously.
Yeah.
Finally gets to 5. And, like, as soon as he gets to 5, Babu starts throwing money on the on the canvas for her to pick up. And then they immediately cut to Undertaker and Kane coming down the ramp. What they did not show you was that after Babu threw all the money down into the ring, this girl then proceeds to flash the crowd. And then, with her boobs hanging out, Babu starts going to town licking her boobs.
No, that did not make TV.
That did not make TV.
No.
Attitude Era. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that she was not some random fan out of the crowd.
The only thing that you neglected to add here is at the moment of contact, Tiger Ali Singh declares, "Let the tongue kissing commence," and I laughed.
Well, he wasn't wrong. That's exactly what happened.
I laughed. So what happened here on TV is eventually she stopped kissing him. Babu began to throw down the money, and Taker and Kane came out and killed the Indians. For their fourth appearance on the show. Are we counting?
It's easily 4.
Yeah. Southern Justice versus the Headbangers.
You know, I'll just tell you what I wrote here at the beginning, because this is what I was thinking at the time. Life is too short to watch a match like this. But you know what? I did watch it, even though I didn't want to. And I will say, it was not hideous. It was no good. Mosh made a comeback, got distracted, ran into a slop drop, got pinned. It was absolutely, completely pointless.
I neglected this. This was the first finish on the show. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've seen worse, but Mosh and Phineas doing lucha at the beginning, and then Phineas trying to run the ropes and run the corners. Breaking news in 2017, Phineas Godwin was a terrible wrestler. They hit Thrash with 200 moves in a row. It was very boring, and then eventually Mosh got pinned with the reverse DDT.
You know what's really funny about this, by the way? You know how we always talk about how I have no memory of Henry Godwin and Phineas wrestling after Henry broke his neck.
Right.
But then they came back, and then they came back again, and then they became Southern Justice. There's a lot of things that I don't remember, like off the top of my head, but if I see him again, my memory is jogged, and I remember it. I have no memory, still, of Southern Justice and their run here as wrestlers in the ring. It's like it never happened. It's not like I forgot it, but now that I see it, I remember it. I don't remember it at all.
Well, it would have been a better world had it not happened. What I wrote here at the end was, officially the match went 4 minutes, 43 seconds. It felt twice that long.
Oh, man, wait till we get to Nitro. You want to talk about long-ass matches?
I got some times on that one, too. So speaking of things we had forgotten about in 1998, Vince Russo's, I'm assuming, this could be someone else, but somebody working on Raw had a gimmick they loved, and there must be doors on every show. The door is a powerful symbol or metaphor or something. So Kane and Undertaker are backstage trying to break through a door. And Kane's got a sledgehammer. His plan is, I'm going to take this sledgehammer, I'm going to knock down this door.
It's the door to Vince McMahon's office.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's smartened up the door. Kane's a big, strong, powerful mofo with a big, strong hammer, and he's wailing on this door and wailing on it and wailing on it and wailing on it, and it's not budging at all. Like the plastic thing on the front falls off, but the door itself is standing strong. I thought this hammer was going to break before this door did. Eventually, they got it open. They go into the office. There is no Vince. They move on with their lives.
What I loved about it was they go to the door and they knock on it because they want to talk to Vince. And nobody answers. And so they get a sledgehammer and they pound on the door until they knock it down. They go inside and then they're surprised that he's not there.
I don't know.
They knocked and he didn't answer. That should have been a pretty good indication.
I don't know.
Why are you surprised?
I don't know why everyone on the show has to be dumb. Let's see. D'Lo Brown versus Xpac.
Oh my God.
So Xpac shaved Jarrett's head. I gave him a buzz cut at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, they did a hair match, and instead of shaving his head bald, Jarrett, he can't even be bald for like a week. He's just got to cut himself a nice short haircut.
He just looks, he looks fine. It's actually an improvement.
Kind of. I mean, could you have looked any more generic than Jeff Jarrett did on this show?
Maybe. So during this match, Xpac hits the Bronco Buster once. He tries it again and gets a foot to the groin instead. And he makes his comeback, and he hits the X Factor. Jarrett attacks for the DQ.
Well, he hits the X Factor. This is very important, by the way.
It is.
He hits the X Factor. Jeff Jarrett's supposed to hit the ring. Of course, he's too late. And so the referee, Earl Hebner, has to do the slowest count in all of history so that Jeff Jarrett has time to slide in to break up this pin and get the disqualification.
Yes, Jarrett was late, which killed Xpac's finish. Everyone remember that.
Yes.
So Jarrett and Xpac brawl through the crowd, and then here's Taker and Kane again. They come out to kill D'Lo. When who should run down but Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And I'm thinking he'll get in there, he'll act all tough, and like he'll push D'Lo into them and run away. No. Rock hits the ring, he gets in Taker and Kane's face, and he picks a fight with them. And he starts laying into them. Now it goes badly for him. D'Lo abandons him. They destroy Rock and leave him lying. But yeah, Rock is a hero now. He's a brave fighter who will stick up for his friends, even though they're the kind of people who are going to stab him in the back.
Well, it's not even so much that, but this was also the beginning of the deal where Rock was an absolute geek right here. I mean, he was trying to be a hero, but he's a guy who comes out and he gets in the ring and he stares down two monsters and they beat his ass. They leave him laying like a complete idiot. Now, was Rock one bit less over the next week? Of course not. He was just as over as ever. Why? Because he's The Rock. If you would have done this with 99% of the geeks on this roster, they would have been geeks. But he was the one guy that could get away with it. But of course, in their infinite wisdom, they thought, man, this fucking guy got away with this. Now we can do it with everybody on the roster. And so we've had 19 years of geeks, just one geek after another, who they're trying to book the exact same as The Rock, and it doesn't work for any of them. Because there's only one Rock.
Marc Mero versus Edge. Now, as I recall, Edge was the mystery partner against Marc Mero and Jacqueline the night before, right? I didn't look it up. Do you remember this?
I don't remember. I didn't look it up either.
There was no mention of what happened at SummerSlam.
No, none.
No. The only SummerSlam reference was the main event and the tag match. So they're doing this match. They get like a minute. Edge does a running plancha, and then Gangrel runs out and attacks him. And Mero and Jacqueline leave. And Taker and Kane appear and destroy Mero, and that was everything.
Edge was so green here.
He was.
He had great hair.
He had great hair. He had a presence that a lot of guys just don't have, but yes.
He had a great look, but I think the thing that, I mean, some people remember this, but if you only remember the great worker Edge of the last, five years of his career or so, what people don't remember is he was really bad when he started, and when they put him together with Christian, I mean, the thing was, Christian was the great worker, and Edge was kind of a stiff, but he had better hair, and so you knew that he was going to get the push. But to his credit, there are a lot of guys in his position who had great hair, and the office loved them, but they weren't very good, who never really got any better. But Edge really wanted to get better, and by the time he was a main eventer, he was a great worker.
Absolutely.
So more power to the guy.
That's all true. So up to this point, as we mentioned, Craig had warned us how horrible these shows were. And up to this point, I thought, this is a very bad Raw, but I've seen many worse. Well, at this point, the show turned southward and plummeted. Jim Ross did a sit-down interview with Al Snow and Head.
Did you hear, by the way, that Al Snow has got a book coming out, Vinny?
I heard about that just today.
Yeah, did I? Oh, I sent it to you, didn't I?
You did.
Now, for those of you that are unaware, Al Snow is writing a book. It's going to come out through ECW Press. And I'm trying to find the title here.
I'll see if I can find it.
I sent it to you. Here it is. It's called, this is the name of the book, Self-Help, Lessons from the Bizarre Wrestling Career of Al Snow. Publication date April of 2019, which is actually a long way away. But they've announced it now. Al Snow is writing a self-help book. He does a sit-down interview here with Jim Ross. This was the anti-Mankind interview with Jim Ross.
Which is hysterical, because that's clearly what they were trying to imitate, because that worked out so well. But what they neglected, and what I'm sure Mick Foley would love to point out to you, Al Snow's not Mick Foley.
No. Mick Foley, his career began to turn around with that interview with Jim Ross. Mm-hmm. Al Snow's career didn't have a chance to turn around because it began in the toilet here in WWE. But man, when this thing was over, I somehow had even less interest in ever seeing Al Snow in WWE. The only good thing about this is they're talking about something, and Al says at one point, "I have hope for you, JR." And Jim Ross says, "I have hope for you too, but it's being challenged." His fucking delivery was so awesome. This was horrific.
This was so bad. And the funny thing is, Al Snow's point in this interview was he always had the talent to be a big star, but was never given the opportunity. Now, I don't know if he actually believed this or was just speaking the line he was given, but he came off as so not a star in this segment. He came off as the biggest goof. He's trying to talk about the voices in his head. He explains, I'm not making this up, he says he does not need the help of the voices in his head to mow his lawn. Talked about working in ECW.
It did play into the questions that Jim Ross was asking, but yes, he did say that.
They had clips of him in Smoky Mountain. It went on for a very long time. It was never any good, and they threatened us with more of it next week.
What I was amazed by was Al Snow, or maybe it was Jim Ross, one of them, alerted us that Al had been in the business for 16 years at this point.
This is not a selling point.
And apparently, the story is that Al Snow debuted in 1982. Now, I can't find anything about his career before about 1992, so I don't even know what the hell he did for 10 years, but that's what they claimed. 16 years he had been in this business in 1998.
Whew.
Yep.
The Oddities versus the Legion of Doom and Draws.
Now, the only good thing about this wasn't even on television, and that was that Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope sang the Oddities to the ring, but they had to edit this off the show.
Yeah,
so we were left with nothing but the shit.
Yes, we missed the song, and it was a cool song. We didn't get to hear it. What we saw was the Oddities in the ring. ICP was with them. Hawk was out there being drunk and wanting to dance with them. Then Animal and Draws come out. They're embarrassed by Hawk. The match begins. Insane Clown Posse won't dance with Hawk, so he responds by kicking their ass. A beating they would then no-sell.
Well, I mean, they took bumps, but...
They bumped. He pressed Shaggy over his head and dropped him on the floor.
Yeah.
And a minute later, they're just up and around, and Luna, in fact, has to talk them about going over there to kick Hawk's ass. Can you imagine? If you were in 1987, all those Warrior squash matches we watched, and 11 years later, these two clowns, literal clowns, well, they'll seem overmatching Hawk.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Hawk was allegedly drunk in this segment. He was not. Here's the question.
He was legit stoned in the 80s.
These are serious questions here, okay? How did Hawk allow this to happen? How did Earthquake allow this to happen? I mean, I know what the answer is. It's like, it's money and they were told to do it, but holy fuck, can you have some, like, I mean, the great Road Warrior Hawk out here looking like a giant bushwhacker, pretending like he's drunk. How the fuck is this supposed to be helping this guy's career? He had no other options in wrestling in 1998. I mean, come on.
I don't know. So Hawk got in the ring. He did some wrestling and stumbling around because he's drunk. He was so drunk he tried to tag the Oddities in, turn into a six-way, and then Giant Silva, legit 7'4", picked up Hawk and powerbombed him and pinned him.
The goddamn worst powerbomb I've ever seen in my life, by the way. He got him halfway up and just dropped him on his neck.
Yep.
This was horrible.
This is, as I wrote here, the very worst of pro wrestling. Although, I think we saw worse stuff on Nitro as far as wrestling goes.
So keep in mind, we had clowns, we had oddities, freaks as they called them. We had a guy pretending he was drunk in a motorcycle helmet, okay? All of this bullshit is followed by Too Much versus Los Boricuas. Now, let me tell you something.
In between, Taker and Kane beat up a random production geek.
Okay, sure. Now, let me tell you something about this match. As far as like a technical professional wrestling match, this was the best thing on this show. may have been the best thing on both shows.
Probably.
But because we as viewers had been taught that these fucking guys are geeks and that the only important stuff that happens is stuff that happens with either the big stars or guys outside of the ring, nobody gave a shit about this match. And I'll bet it died in the ratings, although the whole show died in the ratings. It's just sad. This was like a good match, but nobody gave it the time of day.
Too Much won, which was, as I wrote down, it was the first finish of the show, although in hindsight it was the second finish. So for the record, the 2 wins on the show, where one man pinned another man, went to the Godwins and Too Much. Scorpio versus Jeff Jarrett.
Do you know, Vinny, that this match here was the main event of Monday Night Raw?
Show was.
Jeff Jarrett versus Too Cold Scorpio. Jarrett's out there. He's got his generic haircut. He's got a generic red sleeveless shirt that Ole Anderson printed up for him that reads, "Don't piss me off." That's his new gimmick. They have a boring match, and you'll never guess what happens at the finish.
As I recall, Undertaker and Kane came out to kill them.
No, first off, Jeff has the win.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Xpac is supposed to break it up because, of course, Jeff Jarrett broke up Xpac's pin earlier. But I guess as a receipt, Xpac made sure to just run a little too slow, so he was late breaking it up, and the referee had to hold up his count again.
Yeah.
This goddamn show.
So yes, Xpac and Jarrett brawled. Then Taker and came out to kill Scorpio. Kill him they did. Vince came out on stage, pleased. But then the Brothers of Destruction
he's delighted.
saw him.
He is delighted that these 2 fucking guys have ruined his entire show and killed off dead half of his geek roster.
Yes, he'll have to hire 20 new guys now because these guys are all dead. And then Kane and Taker see him. They go after him. Vince goes backstage, and the show ends.
I said this was better than last week. I stand by that. But it was fucking bad, dude. This was a bad show.
This was a very terrible wrestling show. Very, very terrible television show. There was hardly any wrestling at all.
Isn't that hard to just, do a show?
We've seen a lot of shows that are better than this, so I'm going to say the answer is no.
And you know what's funny about it? You want to know what's funny about it? I'm going to tell you what's funny about it after we play this song.
From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington.
You are Locked On Seahawks, your daily Seattle Seahawks podcast.
What?
What's that?
This is the kind of football I enjoy. So I was totally into that game from start to finish. The drive chart, which is always my favorite thing about a box score, really tells you how the game went. And
you didn't listen to the song before you played it, did you?
I'm going to give you the yardage and the result of Seattle's drives here.
This is the whole
Are you ready?
thing.
Sit down. First drive.
Oh, they just play the music?
They just play wacky music over my failed podcast.
Yeah, I'll spare you that one. How about this one?
I tell you what I want, but the heck was that all about?
So you're telling me there's not going to be a Locked On Seahawks this season?
No, it's I've stepped down from that. I told you this months ago.
I know, but I'm thinking that the season's here. There's time to rethink this, Vinny.
No.
I think that we can bring this back and make it bigger than ever.
Well, the answer to your question is no, Brian. There's not going to be one. It's not been for me. As far as I know, they have not hired anyone new.
Oh, man. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast with a co-host, Vinny, for Locked On Seahawks?
I could have sworn we tried this.
No, with me.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, I don't remember being a co-host on your football podcast.
Oh, the one we did in your studio.
Yeah, but I wasn't the co-host. I was a producer. You were just flying solo.
I see.
Yeah. I feel if you had someone to play off of, Vinny, it would be a big hit.
I don't.
You know, the guy that knows everything about football and the guy that knows nothing about football. Mm-hmm. I'm giving away an idea here that could make millions right now for free, Vinny. If we don't get on top of this, someone else is going to steal it.
You know the definition of insanity, Brian?
Well, it's a little different. We'd be doing something a little different.
I see.
Because when you think about this, Vinny, how many people in the world have as much football knowledge as you do?
In the grand scheme of things, not many.
Okay. How many people in this world have as little knowledge of football as I do?
You can be surprised.
No way. We're a perfect match.
Many of them are, in fact, running NFL teams, but...
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, fine.